They use Monday service. AI makes self-tickets and private online meditation. Monday service is a ticketing time. Helps you to hire some.
Expectation. It's off. It's off.
So why do I start things? I never finish them. This is due to something called law of sustainment. In psychology, the law of sustainment, if you want to write this down.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Please continue on one.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Don't continue.
Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check. Mic is in the building. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Here's coming up. Mic check, 1, 2. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic check, 1, 2.
Okay. All right, that's good. It's just basic that it's not it.
Mic check, 1, 2. Good morning, everyone. You're most welcome. We will be starting in the next 3 minutes. Mic check. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, come on, guys. Good morning. That's for my kids, and a happy Saturday to us all. Welcome to the Northeast Parenting Conference, brought to you by the President's Parent. My name is Jane Rose, aka MC Sherry Jane. It's nice to have you all here. Yeah, so today is the day that we've been waiting for. Finally, it has arrived. As with all things do arrive. So, just some quick introductions. We are at the Dash Centre in Sunderland. I'm just going to repeat or say some things that we should be aware of. So, welcome to the Dash Centre. In regards to the toilets, they are just through the double doors that we came through. To your left, there's signage on the wall. And if you do want to use the restrooms, that's just the way to go, and then come back into the same doors. We are not expecting any fire drills, okay? So if you do hear the fire alarm, treat it as the real thing and go through the same doors that we came through. We will be assembling at the car park, which is right behind, which is the assembly point for the Dash Centre. It's going to be an exciting, informative day. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have a lot of questions. Please do save those questions and answers towards the end of the program because we have a lot of information, a wealth of knowledge to be shared today. exciting things. We also have some parenting books, which are for sale at the entrance, and I'm pretty sure you all signed in. Did you all sign in? Yeah? Because we need to know how many people and who are here. Last but not least, I hope you all have your smiley faces on because we are live on YouTube. Okay, so get your smiley faces on. Please do share this link for those that are not able to be with us here in person. And I would like to call on board the one and only Pastor Ola to lead us in prayer.
Praise. You are all welcome to this program. And we believe that it's going to be a blessing for every one of us here sitting here. To be a time of refreshing even for the parents. And we believe that the takeaway from here will impact all our children. We'll just pray briefly. We know that God has gone ahead of us to make this program beautiful, excellent, glorious. We want to welcome you once again. Let us pray. Father, we thank you. We appreciate you. We give you all the glory for all that you've done. We thank you for this time like this. We thank you for the program, the first one of its kind in Sunderland, the northeast of England. We want to say, God, we appreciate you for the planning and putting everything together to make it a glorious day. Now, the time for us to start this program, we know that you're here with us and you've gone ahead to make it successful, to make it beautiful. And we pray that this program will impact life, will transform lives. In the mighty name of Jesus, we will go home rejoicing in every situation. Father, we give you all the glory. We thank you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
The house is open. Right, okie doke. So, I've got a little icebreaker, something to break the ice for us to get to know one another. And the icebreaker activity is called then versus now. Okay. So the objective of this icebreaker is going to spark laughter, reflection, and connection by comparing childhood experiences across the generations with and without technology. So what I would like for each and every single one of us who's currently here in person is to please pair up in twos. It's going to be brief, just about 5 minutes, okay? And what I want each one of you to do is to share one fun, memorable thing that you did as a child without technology. And then one way that we see children today doing the exact same thing, however, differently or not at all because of technology. So let me give an example. Back in the days, we wrote letters to pen pals, but nowadays, what do kids do? Snapchat, right? So just quickly, for the next 5 minutes, if we could just pair up, and that's what I would like for us to do. Share those memories, and then I might put somebody on the spot. Okay. Yeah, so if we quickly just pair up the next 5 minutes, please. Just to spark this, today we're talking about the impact of technology. So that's the real reason for this icebreaker, because each and every single one of us here uses technology, and our children more so. I might not be wrong by saying that majority of us that are currently here grew up without technology, and it's only just been introduced in our lives. However, those of us that are parents at the moment, our children are addicted to technology. Not all, but there's a possibility. So please do pair up and let's get this activity started. Thank you. I'll be going around. I'll be listening in. The ice has been broken, or has it? I've walked around and I've heard different things, people sharing different things. So, do we have any volunteers that would like to share an experience of what they've spoken about? If not, I will put you on the spot. Don't worry, I'll not turn around to the camera, so if you're shy like me, they'll not get to see your face, so they'll hear your voice. So, any volunteers? Oh yeah, great, excellent. We've got one.
Yeah, so we have obviously all very different generations speaking about our different experiences and how we grew up. But one thing for me was that when I was young, we still play out in the streets, and I remember we used chalk and draw on the pavements, play hopscotch, play art on the floor, that kind of thing. Whereas now, kids have virtual realities, and we have virtual headsets, and we can enter different worlds and play games with different people across the world in different countries. So that is something very, very different to what we have here with our neighbors.
Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Anybody else? One more volunteer? Should I pick on someone? I heard something really interesting. Okay, I've got another volunteer.
This is actually technology versus technology, but it's more like how it has evolved, right? So during my own time, while there was phone, it was the landlines. And for us to get in touch with our friends, we had to give them a specific time. Like, I'm gonna call you by 4 p.m. Be by your phone, and you ring them, and your mom will be listening from the other landline to make sure that you guys are not out of line in your conversation. Whereas now, kids have personal phones, they can call their friends at any time, less supervision and all of that. So I think while technology was still present in some way, shape, or form, it has really evolved in the speed of lights. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And just one more to make sure that I completely broken and melted. I'm sure the person knows. I'm going to make my way over because what they said was rather interesting, and I think we would all benefit by hearing what they have to share. So I'll take my steps across the room.
Good morning. So when I was talking to my partner here, I was talking about a time when you were watching movies, we used to have the cassette where if you wanted to take it back, you have to take it out from the player and then use that cassette rewinder. And if it's not available, you use a pen where you have to, and you just hope and pray it goes back to the exact place you wanted it to be. But now we have kids using the remote. What of maybe they tell Siri, take it back or something if it's connected. They don't know how to use their hands. It's just amazing how good say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure we can all relate. So once again, you're most welcome to the Northeast Parenting Conference. On behalf of the present parents, I would like to welcome everybody. And I would also like to announce that all the speakers are here. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Can I please make a request for the speakers to come up front, and just so that the people here can identify who the speakers are. So please, could I request all the speakers to come up front? We have a VIP section for you right here. Get your pen and paper handy, because what we'll be sharing today, we'll need to revisit. Thank you very much. Thank you for honoring that. So I would like to quickly mention who the speakers are going to be today. And we have the convener, Olivan Care Fajarin. So please give a round of applause. As she comes on.
Thank you, Chair Rose. Thank you, everyone. So when this dream of having this kid, I didn't know. Actually didn't know what to do. I just thought it was too much of a thing to organize, bring parents together. Everybody's busy, people trying to make a living. I just thought, why not? If not, we can do it. We can come together outside work, outside the house. Let's have a chat. Let's see what we need to do to get better, to make things better. I actually wrote a welcome speech, and I hope I'll be able to read it. Okay. So I have always been passionate about children. I'll quickly give a background story of myself. and how all of this came to be. I was about 14, 15, 16 when I volunteered to help at the children's church, at my parents' church. I was a child myself. But this was what actually brought out the passion in me. And I believe that this was part of the package that God has put in me, hidden in me, that was there. I saw different parents and I saw different results. I was really young, but I saw children, I saw how their parents handled things, and I saw results. So most of these children, I was growing up as well. They were growing up. So let me say, when I was 15, some of them were like 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the time I was 20 something, teenagers, I saw results. I saw what parents put into it, and I saw what they got from it. And even today, when I look at some of those children, I'm still in contact with some of them on Facebook. When I went to Nigeria the last time I saw some, I could see results from what their parents had done in the past. So, and that's kind of started pushing me towards. I started by trying to mentor children. I was a teenager myself, so I started by trying to mentor, not officially, not structurally, but I was kind of mentoring them. And from there, I got to be friends with most of them. From there, I became a parent myself, and that was when my passion really rose up. I'm like, I've seen people's mistakes, I've seen people's successes, I'm going to pick the lessons and apply it to my own family. And that was how all of this started. So during the COVID, I started this gist session. I call it our big gist. So we just gist about random things, find people to join. It was kind of interesting, but I was tilting towards parenting the more. I was thinking it was going to be a lifestyle thing, just talk about lifestyle, how people live, but it was tilting towards parenting the more. Finally, I made up my mind that I was going to make it the present parents. And by the grace of God, we started this. It's about 1 year now, and God has really been faithful. I've had parents that various parents sent messages to say you really impacted us, woken us up, and this has really, really gladdened my heart. Um, so this is not a conference where we are going to tell you, don't give your child a phone at 3. Don't let them watch screen at 10. This is the conference where we look beyond digital technology. We look at everything, the fast growth of things all around us and how it affects our parents. This is not a conference where we're going to give you rules and laws on what to do and what not to do. I'm sure you've heard that many times. There are so many conflicting information online. You see somebody come up and say, oh, the phone is bad for children. And you see somebody, they are a professor, they know things about children, child psychologists, and they say, no, the phone makes them very intellectual. And we are in between trying to decide what should I do, what should I not do. This conference is there to give you a background and a foundation to what you can coin for your family and how you can tailor it to your needs and the needs of your family. So this is what we are here for. So if you are here to get information like don't let your child join social media until they are 35, please just be open-minded right now. That's not what we are here to do. It's more than that, it's deeper than that. The rate at which things are going in the next 5 years, social media will not be our problem. Many parents are complaining about social media now. In like 5 years, the higher problem is coming. And that's what we'll have to deal with. And because our generation is the first generation to ever have this kind of problem, trying to handle this. So we don't have a template. We are the one making the template. And so if we give a wrong template to our children, we have a very bad problem. And that's why we have to wake up and not assume that parenting is just the usual. My grandparents raised 12, they are fine, they're all fine today, they are doing well. In what world? The world where they were raised does not exist anymore. And so we have a new world now, fast-paced, the app that you downloaded yesterday is as useless as anything tomorrow because a new one is coming up. The car you drove yesterday is as useless as anything because tomorrow there's going to be another car that you just wonder how people think about it. So things are really evolving, and I want us to be open-minded as parents today so that we get the detail in this conference. Don't be judgmental, which I know most of us are sometimes we do. Sometimes we are judgmental, look at things as that doesn't really exist. They are young parents, they don't understand. Please let's be open-minded. Let's pick the lessons, relax, enjoy, absorb the values, and try and apply it. The best thing to do is to apply it, and that is where we want us all to get to. I want to welcome you all to the Northeast Parenting Conference 2025. This morning I woke up and I said, I can see this conference in 20 years. And I'm just smiling and I'm like, God, I see what you're doing. So I want to welcome you officially, everyone. We have lovely speakers here today. Somebody was asking me, how did you determine the speakers? I actually wanted to bring generations together. If I had the chance, I would have invited a 10-year-old to tell us about their mind about technology. But I just wanted to bring us all together and let's see what we need to balance. Let's see what we need to pick. I have for here, I've had conversations with where I know that she's got loads of things in her that she wants to pour out, and I'm so excited for you because I know you're going to bless us. I have Michael. Michael is my brother-in-law. Man, this guy is so intelligent. And I have a lot of things that I picked from him personally. And I believe he's also going to bless us all. And let me not talk about Mrs. Ayibayo. We only met by, I can't say, I just think it was God's arrangement for me. Because I've always looked for somebody who can relate with what I have in mind. Like, I have a lot in mind. And I'm like, I just need somebody who can relate. I'm not really weird when I'm saying this thing. And she just came to our church for a program and she was pouring out something. And I'm like, that's her. That's that. And I glued to her since then. I practically glued to her. And I made myself a sister by force. I want to say thank you to all the speakers. Thank you everyone for taking your time to come. This is not going to be a waste of time. Thank you so much. Let's sit down, relax, and enjoy the moment. God bless you. And before I go, I have a guest appearance. Is that what they call it? Yes. I actually, we met online. Sorry, we met online. But she's here to also, she's got a lovely book about what we're talking about. I've read the book and you will love it. So I'm not here to sell you a book. I'm here to sell you a person that is well learned and vast in that area. She's also going to come up to talk to us for a few minutes as we go on in the program. So I want to say thank you and welcome to everyone. And Grandma, thank you for coming back. Thank you, everyone.
What an introduction. Another round of applause, please. Okay, we all warmed up? Are we ready? Okay, so we do have our first speaker who will be coming up. And just before he comes up, I would like to say a little bit about him. His name is Mr. Michael Oguntimehin. Am I saying that right? Okay, so Mr. Michael is widely recognized as 10 Mics. He's a seasoned media entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in the broadcast media industry. His career has spanned notable roles in productions and operations at esteemed radio stations, including City FM and Jordan FM, both based in Lagos. Michael has written and produced strategic marketing campaigns for leading brands such as Spectranet, FedEx, and Nigerian breweries. He has also led brand activation campaigns for organizations including Laplandia Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank, Fidelity Bank, and the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, LSETF. With a keen interest in innovation, he has expanded his expertise into the tech space, working as a media data analyst. In addition to his professional endeavors, Michael is a respected social commentator and a dedicated family man. He is the proud husband of Faderera, you've seen her around, and father of 2 sons. His approach to both career and family life reflects a strong commitment to excellence, responsibility, and continuous growth. Let's give it up for our speaker, Mr. Michael.
Honestly, I wasn't sure if that was me. I was a little bit confused, but yeah, actually, that's me. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to especially thank all those who have come from far and wide just to be here today. And then, of course, our dignitaries as well. I want to thank you because without you, this program will not be holding. And also, I would like to say a big thank you to Mrs. Elizabeth and then of course for Mary as well, because I've heard a lot about both of you. And I'm only going to say that this is an opportunity for me, and then I'm only also going to say that it's a privilege as well, something that I really cherish, something that I really honor as well. So thank you so much. And to the beautiful Banker family, I've always told my wife that you're a beacon that will shine forever. And don't worry, you're going space, you're going places, even spaces. You're going those ways. Don't worry, God is with you. And thank you so much. And to all the parents in the house, I'd like you to just give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. And there's a reason for it, because I just my parenting journey started 3 years ago. And being here 3 years, my life has been flipped back and forth. I know what that means. Like it really has been flipped back and forth. And sometimes I look at myself, like, how did I get in here? But then marriage, love, marriage and love happened. And yeah, so but then it's been a beautiful journey as well because I have 2 kids. That's my beautiful wife over there as well. And then I've got 2 kids as well. Iluru and Shirikubi. These are people that are precious to me, and these are people I definitely cherish all the time. Now let's just get back to the topic for today. So when I got the topic for today, right, which of course is the pros and cons of growing up without technology. I had to reflect on that. Okay, now let me just do this. Let me take you back to generations, and I'm happy when Jane started with the eyes, and then a lot of people as well spoke about their experience growing up as well. And in their speaking, I could tell that everybody has the same, or everything they said resonated with what I was going to talk about today. And it just made everything like, oh, okay, Michael, you're in the right course, you're in the right direction as well. So I had a conversation with people in their 50s, late 50s. I've also had a conversation with people in their 50s, yeah, late 50s, early 50s, and then of course late 40s, and then our generation like that. And I'm going to tell you surprisingly what everybody said. Just walk with me as we go on, okay? So first of all, with the pros and cons of growing up without technology in Nigeria, when I started a conversation with them, I said, let's talk about stronger human connection. What does it, if we're looking to stronger human connection as family, as friends, as community leaders, and then, people living in communities generally, what does it mean back in the days without technology? What was it like? Because I can tell what it is like right now. And also from what I've learned from them, I can tell that it's a little bit different. And that's something we actually have to did I say a little bit different? It's wide apart, the difference. And that's something we have to look at today. We also, in our conversation with them, I looked at resourcefulness and patience. I also look at focus and creativity with them. Okay, I also looked at slow, that's a point, slow communication, um, limited access to information, and cumbersome process. And, we had a great conversation with that. I'll share that with you first time. So our childhood in Nigeria meant a life without smartphones, Google or instant messaging. But those of us who lived through that era, our experiences were shaped by slower communications and also hands-on learning and human connections. Today, with technology at our fingertips, it was possible to explore what we gained and what we missed in those simpler terms as well. So now let's just talk about the deep human connections that I mentioned earlier. I had a conversation with a man in his 50s. He lived in Osun State. I'm not going to jab. I'm from Ondo State as well. We're not really, we're not really that exposed in terms of technology in that area as well. But then, so he said to me, he said, now, our families were the first source of technology. Dad and mom were before Google was. That's what he said. And then he said, what you call podcast today was our fancast. So by fancast, he meant what we would sit down around, we have tales by moonlight, we have conversation from different people who tell different stories to us, and just share their ideas around community and everything to us as well. And then also he went on to say, friendships thrived in real spaces. We gathered at Market Square, place with 1010. I'm sure a lot of people know what sway is. And then of course 1010 as well. I was just sharing this for where I am, like 1010, what that means. And then I said, have you heard about that? She said, no. And then also I said, back in Nigeria, when I was growing up, we would sing Amiki Ami Eleko, Okomeji Tolumi, those were our nursery rhymes. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Those were, those were how we played. Those were how we had fun and all of those. And then also he said, without social media, we bonded over laughter, games, and shared chores. And definitely I can speak on that because growing up myself, my dad was a man who went about Nigeria, right, with his team to help his company build more companies across Nigeria. So I had the opportunity to at least go to at least 20 states in Nigeria. And in those states that I went to, I had great fun. Now, I was in Jos, I was in Kaduna, I was in Onitsha, I was in Delta, I was in Nasarawa, I lived in, of course, Lagos, I lived in, where again, Abuja, I enjoyed my time. I had different people to mix with. I learned a culture, I learned 3 languages. I was telling my wife that I learned the 4th language, which of course is a team language, but I lost touch with speaking with people who could speak it as well. So there was no way I could keep up with that. So, but then look at me now, I speak Hausa, I speak Yoruba, I speak Igbo, as we stand now. So I have that great part. It's an experience that you cannot get on social media. Sometimes you go on Google, you want to learn. At some point, I wanted to learn Spanish. And when you pronounce those things, what are they saying? What are they saying? I don't know. But if I had real human conversation and that went on and on and on, I would have learned faster as well. But it was different in those times. So, and he then went on to give me another one to say, well, The king's message were passed through the Alago Oba, that's the town crier. And he then went on to say, who went from street to street with his gong, gathering people who to hear news. It fostered a sense of community and immediacy that screens can't replicate. And I think I only saw that in movies actually, when we hear the co 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 co. Thank you so much. Obanika Wifuyipe. And you know that's I saw that I only see that in movies. And when he said that, I said, you experienced that? I said, yes. I'm like, how was that? And then he gave me a breakdown to say, well, the cons of that was there was no feedback. Basically, the town crier comes, gives his news, but the town crier could not take back their feedbacks to the king. Now, but look at the life of today that we live. Feedback is at your fingertips. The importance of feedback as well cannot be overstated, especially now that we have a growing economy, growing community, growing tech space, growing everything. So feedback is very, very, very important as well. So I'd just like to put a stop in that space. And then also, just like to ask us a question as parents. And the question I'm asking is, what exactly do you think you're doing as a parent? By that question, asking what exactly do you think you are doing as parents is, have you paused to think, am I doing this in the right direction towards raising my kids? Am I ensuring that I'm impacting my kids? Am I just leaving my kids to social media? Am I leaving them to just watch YouTube, videos online? Am I letting my kids just have their time? These days we have kids, play games online, and then of course they call their friends and like, oh, can you join me? Let's do this now. At the end of the day, all they do is just play games. But another perspective or another aspect of the town crier when they get to the market square, when the people are going back home, you know what happens? They get to speak about they said they gossip. I don't see that as gossip. But what I saw were people who were conversing on either what the king had said, oh, this didn't sit that well with me. Oh, I don't think this is right. I don't think that is right. But those feedbacks may have not been taken back to the king, but then these people had things that they shared among themselves. So that's the question I'm asking now. What exactly do we think we are doing as parents? And these questions are questions we actually need to ask ourselves every day. I remember one time myself and my wife were looking at my first child, and then we're like, okay, we have to work. And sometimes I work from home, she works from home, and sometimes we need to go and pick the kids. My first child. The noise. How do we handle the noise? How do we do this? How do we do that? And guess what? We said, okay, maybe we just let him watch cartoons. That will keep him busy. But how long will that go? And that was the question we started asking ourselves. How long? And I said, well, he has family here. Now we need to let him mix up with people. We need to let him see it. We need to let him do that. I thought, see, when I got into the UK first, I had a struggle. I had a real life struggle. And my family, she's my family, it's my family, they know about that. I had a struggle because the struggle was, I don't understand. It's a different terrain for me here. How can I do this? At some point, she would say, let's go out. Please leave me alone. And sometimes you're like, no, people are going to the beach. Let's do something. Let people go on. Let people go to the beach. Like, let me take my child. Please do. Leave me alone. And somehow, consciously, I started looking at how these might affect, I hope I'm still on time, how these might affect, my child. How these can, not be positive for him. And after looking at those, I started going out to it. Okay, fine, let's do this. Let him do this. Let him see a real life example. And sometimes when she goes out, she's like, I know you just let that guy, you just let him watch TV all day. You didn't do anything with him. I said, well, because I'm facing real life issues. So I have to deal with real life issues in terms of, ensuring I get a job, in terms of ensuring I keep my job, in terms of ensuring I balance the house and everything. So for me, it was more like focusing on myself. As a man, you will have to, and I'm happy we have a lot of men here. As a man, you will have to. The UK itself does not permit laziness. The UK itself just tells you, be on the go, because you have bills to pay, you have everything to pay. But then the impact of that on your kids, sometimes if you're too swayed away, you'll find out that the impact is huge on the kids. So we need to have a look at what exactly are we doing in terms of looking out for our kids. God help some of us, some people in here, probably we have now balanced. We have our visas, we have everything, and everything is fine. But then they struggle to stay real too, because we have houses now, we have everything now. They struggle to pay all those bills. It's still there for us to have. And now we still have to look out. So who's going to stay at home today? Also, I've had a time when I was working and I was supposed to go and pick my child, and it was 11:35. I flipped over. Like, I had to run down to the school because according to the UK, your child should not be left too long in the school and everything. So you have to go and get the child. So these things can obviously affect our parenting style. If this was in Nigeria, it would have been so easy. Oh, and Shayo, we start to marry uni. You're done with uni now. Mama, come and give me now. But here, it's different. And we know it's different. Okay? So, but then inwards, the kids are our top priorities, and we have to see how to help in that line as well. Now, I now spoke to another lady, right? So let me just go into the next phase of the conversation because I know my time is just 5 minutes. Yeah, thank you so much. And then she said to me, I had my mom and my dad who were well educated and well traveled, and also were able to answer a large chunk of the questions we have as children. She now said, these days, you beg your kids to even sit with you. Now you have to ask them, where are you? I'm in the room. Please come outside. No, mommy, I'm fine in the room. Where are you? I'm in the room. Please come outside. No, daddy, please, I'm fine in the room. But then, before technology, they depended on you for everything. The information, the how they live their life, in terms of security as well, because going on the streets, you as a father, your impact as a father towards your child, I would say street OT, and I'm sure we have a lot of young people in here, and I'm speaking that language. You have to give your children the understanding of what happens, how you have to be different when you see danger coming, how you have to, make sure you move away from that, how you have to ensure that you're just going to ensure peace generally. So those are the conversations that we can also have with our kids as well. So they need us. please do not subject them to just internet. Oh, you have your technology now. Oh, you have Netflix now. Oh, you have this now. You have that now. Leave me alone. It was a bad move by me back then. But still, what I tell myself is I was just trying to balance life, which of course shouldn't happen. Right. Now let's talk about, let me just, it's really fun conversing in here and I'm looking at 20 minutes not being enough. Then let me just quickly talk about the lessons from tech-free parenting. So I can finalize this. Growing up, parents didn't have to battle screen addiction or cyberbullying. There was maybe like, I talked about street OT. Now can you give a street OT to cyberbullying? So these are questions that you have to ask yourself as parents. So, and then to say their parenting revolved around discipline, storytelling, and personal example. So these were the lessons from tech-free parenting. Screen addiction, which we know that a lot of kids, if you don't tell them stop playing the game, they will never leave. Stop watching the cartoon, they will never leave. Or stop doing this, oh no, I have to speak with one of my friends in America. Yo, the time difference is different. Is why? No, it doesn't matter. I need to keep up with my friends. But the time difference is affecting your child. And sometimes you even have a look at, kids here. They play games till like 12. And something like my wife, I'm very sure, my wife will be like, now, you guys go to bed. Now, 10 is what I can give you, 10. After 10, I'm still like, okay, you guys play till 12, leave my Maybe I'm irresponsible in that way, but God help me. But then, so these are the things that we have to actually look at. And so what we learned, tech-free space or parenting, we learn to value patience because nothing happened instant. Also to respect human interactions since information became directly from people, and to be resourceful, making do with what we had and solving problems creatively as well. I just like to put a stop here because hopefully one day, just one day, right, we'll have this again. Because I actually have a lot to say when it comes to this, and I hope I've been able to, just say something that makes a lot of sense to us, and then of course we can as well take it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate this. This is my place on mental. Thank you so much.
I'm the town crier. I hope you all enjoyed that session. Very informative. I know 20 minutes feels like a minute. And I hope you all enjoyed the session. So I shall call the next speaker. And the next speaker's name is Fope Oladipo. Let's give a round of applause for her. So before she comes up on the podium, do we want to know a bit about who Fope is? Yeah? Yeah? Okie doke. So Fope Oladipo is a qualified social worker with around 4 years of experience. She is currently working within a hospital discharge team. Her background also includes working with children and families. Broad understanding of the challenges that parents face across different stages of life. She gives insights from professionals and personal experiences. She is passionate about supporting parents to feel empowered, informed, and resilient in their parenting journey. She'll be exploring how digital exposure and social media shapes children's sense of self, raise expectations, and influence mental health, and also shall offer practical ways and insights in how parents are trying to navigate these pressures with their children. So please put your hands together as we welcome onto the podium Jorge Oladipo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paula. As you already introduced me, if you know me personally, I actually don't like it's ironic because my parents are public speakers. So I'm not gonna take 20 minutes, I'm just gonna talk. But like they said, I'm not a parent myself yet, God willing one day. But I'm just but I feel like I do have some values I have very hope. Now, I'm Gen Z, so yeah, it's not my time yet. So we're exploring the rising pressures on children in today's tech-driven world. And we can all agree that social media today influences our performance and digital expectations. It shapes our identity and it affects our mental health much earlier than ever, not just as adults, but as children as well. I think when people think of children, they assume that because children don't have bills to pay, they don't have the same sort of issues adults have. They don't have sort of pressures, but they are external pressures outside of academics, outside of the norms that you would think of. One of them is digital pressures. And so I think today, one of the key, you actually mentioned something I wanted to touch on, which was how children now, they're kind of exposed to social media, sometimes even before it's for different reasons, but for one of the reasons is because I would say parents are quite busy nowadays, especially if you're from an ethnic background. When you come, you have work to live up to, you have rent to pay, you have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes it distracts you from your responsibility as a parent, even unintentionally. So you tend to give them the social media, maybe not social media, but iPads, phones to distract them, to keep them occupied. And although I feel like it can have positive influences, the majority of the time the influences are always the best or not the greatest. And you don't want situations where you find that the internet is parenting your child in ways that you wouldn't want. So I wanted to explore apps like TikTok and Instagram. So if you have TikTok and Instagram yourself, you know how it works. You post, you get likes, you get sort of engagement. And I think majority of us can admit that once you get likes, you get engagement, it kind of boosts your confidence, you're encouraged to want to post more. But sometimes with children, it's linked to their self-perceptions and how much followers they have, how much likes they get, how much engagement they get, and even things like filters and using filters on social media, it changes your physical appearance, it makes you feel better or something worse about yourself. They're curated images and on social media gives children and gives people. I feel like unlike adults, children don't have the emotional regulation to detach from online validation. If as a normal adult, I would say, you've gone through different life experiences and you've built a level of confidence where you know who you are as a person outside of what social media tells you. But children don't have that. Children are vulnerable, children, they're naive and and those sort of influences, you don't want to give them, you don't want that to be the catalyst, self-worth and things. So I think it's really important from early on to speak life into your children and encourage them to, I think it's important to speak life into your children. It's important to tell them who they are before social media tells them who they are. When you're on apps like TikTok and Instagram, you're exposed to different sort of people from all walks of life. Some people who are faking it, some people who are experiencing things some people who are experiencing things like for real, but you can never tell the difference. Even as an adult, sometimes I can't tell whose life is real and whose life is, just for show, but children can't tell the difference because they don't know much yet. And also things like Instagram and its socials, and they can increase your self doubt and body, how you perceive yourself physically, and things like just your body, especially as a girl, a young girl or woman, and it can also play into your anxiety as a person. Um, yeah, it's important to speak life into your children from home so they don't seek external validation from other people to validate themselves, because children are curious, children ask questions, children, they're very, very tender. So how you respond to them is how they practically and sort of live their lives. And I think with girls, like I say, they face more sort of pressures in terms of your physical appearance. Like if you go on social media, you see a woman with a certain type of figure, and it influences how you see your body. Sometimes it leads you to making decisions that want you to sort of look like the person or behave like the person. Even sometimes when your genetic makeup is the same as the other person, you find yourself wanting to do those sort of things. Like I'll be lying if I said, I'm a very petite person. My mom was very small when she was younger, so I'm not what you would exactly call curvy, but I'd be lying if I said they aren't. Oh, BBL. Yeah, I have thought about it. Or wanting to like get my breasts done, like just things like that. They're not things I would say I would do now because I understand that they're not actually what I want, they're what I feel like other people would see in my life. But it's important that you have conversations with your children from early to help them understand that these are things that will be valuable to you as a person. And I've also written down here that today's children, they didn't grow up in the world that sort of you lived in as adults, as parents. Today's world is more digitally saturated, socially exposed, and we need to shift from how, well, I'm speaking to everyone, we need to shift from how you were raised to how this generation is being raised now. Um, as a social worker, I've seen like many, many different things. And I'm not saying that I'm not a parent myself. I feel like everybody's an expert on their experience. So as a parent, an expert on their experience. I'm not a parent and I'm not trying to tell you how to parent, but one of the things I would say that makes a good parent is being emotionally available. You can be present as a parent, but you're not always available. And I think as African parents, sometimes you think like because you're doing practically the bare minimum is what I would say. You have a house and for the children to stay, giving them food to eat. That is the bare minimum as a parent. Parenting, from what I understand, and I decide to become a parent as well, you have to choose your parent. You have to choose your partner very wisely. Who you decide to lay with and have children is a very, very big deal. I think even having children is a bigger commitment than almost being married, if I'm being honest, because there's so many layers to it. So you can't just decide that, being a parent isn't just a tick box step in your stages of life. You finished uni, you've graduated, so now it's time to have kids. There's so much, there's so many things that's involved in having a child that you can't just decide to have a child because you're having a child. And then I have in my next section just practical ways of becoming a better parent, the digital. So children imitate everything their parents do, and even down to how to use your phone. So I would say when you're using your phone in front of children, you should audibly narrate what you're doing when you're on your phone. Oh, I'm checking my phone, I'm checking the weather, I'm checking the time. Like just those sort of things feed into your subconscious, so they're actively aware. This is what mommy is doing on their phone. This is what daddy is doing on their phone. And also setting boundaries to like screen times during family meals, like not ensuring that you don't have their phone and you're having face-to-face sort of interactions with them before bedtime. I think it's important to have, even as an adult, I have a limit on my phone to how much screen time I use, because definitely if you leave me on TikTok for 5 minutes, I could be there for the next 3 to 4 hours. So you have to you have to give them time limit so that they don't get away. And also as parents, I think you need to have honest conversations with yourselves about being chronically online. I know so many adults who are chronically online. The aunties that are consistently posting on WhatsApp, I see you. Back to back, like those sort of things. I mean, you can't be a hypocrite in your children's life. They're more observant than you think. You can't tell them, oh, you can't be on your phone when you're actively on your phone. You're the first person on Facebook to give a like. You're the first person to give a comment. And although those things can happen unintentionally, just to have that awareness that my child is watching and I can be an example to my child as well. Yeah, setting curfews, and then when you have sort of, I think it's important to have communication with your children directly about the sort of things they engage with online. So as a parent, it's important to prioritize connection when you're having these conversations rather than control. Because not just children, but naturally, even as an adult, if I feel or I sense any sort of judgment, I would withdraw and I would not want to engage with you or have conversations with you. So rather than policing them when they're on their phones, I think it's important to relate with them, have open and honest conversations with them, and just speak about like, even you as a person, you can say like, oh, I was online today, I saw this, like just having conversations about what is that we're feeding into online. And then teaching sort of emotional regulation and emotional intelligence to children as well. So I think, again, with ethnic parents, the way they've been raised, or actually the way my parents have been raised, is to sort of just feel you're not really encouraged to speak about emotions. But I'm a very emotional person, and I'm lucky enough to have parents who are receptive to what I have to say when I'm emotional. I speak about my emotions. I'm very open about when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm happy. I have those conversations with both my mom and my dad. So I think it's important to have conversations like that with your children, because sometimes they might be experiencing things online that they're not able to share because they don't have that emotional connection. And it's important to tackle things like cyberbullying from early so that, again, the internet doesn't start parenting your child or take your child away from you without you even realizing. And these sort of things, I would say that they're easy to tackle from early. It's always good to grab it from experience and rather than later when it's too late. And then I would say also encourage real world experiences. So the first speaker sort of explored the things that you used to do when you were young. I don't think that they're the things that you should stop doing. You can still like have those sort of conversations and activities in person. Children always need to be stimulated. They're very active. So you have to be intentional about the sort of things that you do with them. I think it's really important to provide spaces, like tech-free spaces. Go out, like be intentional about what you do with your child. Go out with them, go for meals, go for dinners, do activities with them, engage with them so that they don't feel like they need to go to social media to occupy their time. And I would say keep sort of revisiting conversations with your children about what it is they're doing online than being online in general. Social media is an amazing place, I would say, like there are people who are living off social media, there are people who are making money. It's very good things from social media, but I would also say it's one of the scariest places online as well. So it's important to shield them from some of the things in the best way, I said, not least, but sort of relating and communicating. And yeah, that's
Thank you very much. How are we all feeling, guys? Lots of information. Yeah? Yeah, we're all having a good time?
Yeah.
So I can see some new faces, so just a quick housekeeping for those that have just arrived. Once again, welcome to Kadash Center. Should you wish to use the restrooms just through the double doors that you came through, there is signage when you turn left and make your way back, use the restroom, wash your hands, come back, for some good information. So yeah, we again do not expect a fire drill today. So if you do hear anything, please treat it as the real thing. Walk in an orderly fashion, no running. And the reception point, most point is just at the car park behind. So having said all that, I'm going to be presenting the next speaker before she comes up. Of information about our next speaker. Mrs. Elizabeth Ayegbayo. So before she comes up, just a brief introduction about who she is. She is a devoted wife, a mother, an educator, an author, and a parenting advocate with a heart for helping families grow in faith. She's originally from Nigeria, and she moved to the UK in 2006. And she spent over 2 decades raising her children while supporting other parents on their journey. With a background in education and a master's degree in education research, Elizabeth has served as a lecturer and a school governor. But her greatest passion in life lies in encouraging parents through her blog, the Parenting with God seminars and annual conferences. She has also served in church leadership for more than 15 years, especially in children's ministry and adult training. Elizabeth has authored the following books: Navigating Education in England, a free guide for immigrant parents, Parenting with God, and also Parenting with God devotional, which is a free ebook. Okay, so feel free to shout her out later. Elizabeth also enjoys reading, traveling, and relaxing with a good action movie. She is joyfully married to Dr. Olagoke Ayegbayo, and they are blessed with 2 adult children. So please, ladies and gents, put your hands together and welcome to the podium. Elizabeth Ayegbayo.
Thank you, Anderson. I think the way I've come on the stage has already shown my age. I'm the only one who has carried paper. I'm not a jealous. Because for us, if the technology fails, this one I printed it out, I will read it myself. I'll go back home. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's an honor to be here this morning, and it's a great privilege. I want to say thank you so much, Mrs. Fajorin, for this invitation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And what she's doing here is really great work, because somebody said it is better to light the candle than to cause the darkness. We could sit down and complain about how parenting is done wrongly, how things are going, south, how things are not the way they should be. But we would talk and talk and talk, except we do something, we won't make a difference. So if this whole thing was done and one parent showed up, it's already a success. Because for that one parent that showed up, if the parent has a child, that is a child whose life trajectory could be very different from what it would have been if that parent had not been here. If that parent had 3 children, those are 3 children that are affected and their generations are affected because of something new that they learned. And now you can't even stop it because you don't know the ripple effect of what you've done, because that parent will tell a friend, and that friend will tell a friend, and that friend will tell a friend, and now that is even online, you really don't know where it is. And because you're a person of faith, I can tell you confidently that only heaven will show the effect of what you've done today. And this is not where you started from, and you doing it. So can we just give a round of applause? God bless you. And I know I spoke definitely. Because when you got, I mean, I am a faith person, I'm sure you myself. And everything that God does is for the sake of humanity. So anything that is done for the good of mankind, we know we'll always have the blessing of God. So thank you again and well done. And I must recognize your husband, Pastor Ola. Thank you very much. You're very supportive. I know that you are giving so we really appreciate you. Thank you so, so very much. I want to appreciate the speakers in front of me. Sorry again, maybe it's my generation thing. But thank you, Mr. Michael. I appreciate what you've done actually. You brought a younger parent, because I'm a young parent. You brought a younger parent, I'm a young parent, and then you brought agency. That is really, really fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for me. I hear you. Because I hear your voice in my house. I hear your voice in my house. I have 2 Gen 6. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you so much. She's saying she's not teaching us how to raise our children. But believe me, if you will do these things successfully, you must learn from the old, you must learn from the young, you must learn from the youngest. Because what she said today will save some people from losing their children. Don't underestimate what she has said. If you missed it or you discounted it when she was saying it, thank God it's recorded. Go back and watch it. They have given us daughters. I'm a teacher by training. I don't know how many people are taking notes. Please take this notes. Give yourself an action point after today. Do something different. Because if you don't, you've just wasted the time you could have spent sleeping at home. So do something different. Thank you so much. I must appreciate my mom who is here. It wasn't planned. But we are 3 generations of my family. I said I'm a younger woman because she's been with me for more than 50 years. And then I've got my daughter here. It's just a question. So, that's 3 generations. Thank you. And then I've got a lovely couple here. Who are my younger friends? I can say, sometimes I call them my children, but I'm too young to have them as children. But they're a wonderful couple who attend our church and they're very close friends for our others. So Terry and Angie, thank you so much for being there. Yes, I want to thank everybody. And then I think I should just go straight to what I have to say. So I don't spend the whole morning, chatting away. So what the topic I've been given actually is simplifying parenting in the digital age. And I must confess, the first time I saw this, I really, really felt out of my depth because I have been talking about parenting for a while now. I'm passionate about it, and I honestly talk about parenting till tomorrow morning. But in a way, I still feel like I haven't really raised my children in the digital age, in the sense that, like she said, the technology world is quickly changing. It's a rapidly evolving thing. What happened 5 years ago is different. And Mrs. Marjorie has said to us today that if you think you have a challenge now, we'll just wait until 5 years' time. So we know that more serious things are coming. But it's how do we do this thing? And honestly, one of the things, so I've been asked to talk about, practical tools and habits for a more intentional family life. Is this meant to control it? Thank you. I better use it. So let me see if it works. Oh, fantastic. It was. Thank you very much. We need for paper. But let me still reassure myself with my paper. Yeah, I might not use it. Yes. But with parenting, like the people who have said with the icebreaker that we had, we compared what happened many, many years ago to what is happening today. The humankind has gone through different ages. There was a time that was referred to as a stone age. There was the Bronze Age, there was the Iron Age, there was the Industrial Revolution that brought the Industrial Age. Now we're in the Information Age. Some things will change, but there are some things that will never change. And I think as parents, we must concentrate on those things that will never change. Because if you build a house, no matter how many stories you put on a house, no matter how fancy the house is, what is always most important in that house is the foundation. So there is a book of wisdom that I like to read. And there's a part of it that talks about the things that cannot be shaken compared to the things that can be shaken. So this technology will come and go. Better ones will come, some things will die away, some things will be revived. But there are some things that are fundamental to parenting in every generation, in every terrain. And those things will always stand us in good stead, whether things come, whether things go. So I wanted to do some preambles to just, give a bit of definition of parenting. I'm sure we know it. So Cambridge Dictionary tells us the raising of children and all the responsibilities and activities that are involved. I like the fact that it made us to understand parenting is really a lot about responsibility. The first speaker talks about the fact that as the man of the house, he needs to work and earn money. But it's also got a son who is a child, who is a priority. And then the second speaker really talked about ethnic, I think all around actually, we are all ethnic minority parents. And the fact is that we face a different challenge, especially with the environment that we find ourselves here now, today. So we must be responsible, and we do have challenges. And another definition that I have says parenting is a process of raising, promoting, and supporting the physical, emotional, social, and cognitive development of a child to adulthood and across the lifespan. And I like the other one because now it talks about physical, emotional, social, and cognitive development of the child. These were some things that maybe were not relevant to us when we were growing up. People didn't really talk about emotional intelligence. I mean, emotion. What is emotion? I mean, deal with the stuff that you find on yourself, you listen to it. That was it, just get on with it. But we live, I mean, that was how many of us grew. But we're raising a generation that's more emotionally aware, which means that the tools that we had for parenting, we can use them. Thank the speaker who said he's only been a parent for 3 years. But believe me, what you're parenting with, there were things that were built in you by your own parents. So parenting actually doesn't start the day you give birth to a child. Mrs. Pajori has started her parenting journey from how she was raised and then from the influences around her. So already when you become a parent, there are things that you bring into it. And these are things that you must include: the emotional side of the child, the social part of it, the cognitive development. All of these are really, really important. I think I'm gone. Okay. There was something else that was on that page. You see, this is why it is my technology.
Actually,
Okay.
you're right, but I don't know.
Thank you so very much. I shall go back to old and faithful. Yes. So the other thing on that page is actually the digital age. And the digital age, according to ChatGPT, is the information age or the computer age. And this is a period in human history that is characterized by the widespread use of computers and internet to create access, share, and manipulate information. This era has brought about a significant shift from traditional industries and methods to an information-based economy and society. I will not talk too much about that because that has been covered. But think about a day. I will just briefly mention from when the first speaker was talking about the town crier. I don't know how many people were here. In the days, it was the town crier that disseminated information. We can see a likeness of that when either a member of the British royal family dies or they have a child. They will go and put announcements in front of the Buckingham Palace. Somebody will come and shout whatever it is, so that to announce the birth of whatever has happened within the family. Now, that was a time. Then there was a time that technology evolved and you could have someone broadcast on the radio. So you only hear, there's nothing more. And then the television came, and I gave you audiovisual. You can hear, you can see, but guess what? You don't have an input. We still have missing the feedback. But guess what? Social media came. You can see, you can hear, you can comment. And that has in real time, exactly. You're not waiting until next week before they get your comment. So that has changed the way we do things. It has changed it completely. And we need to be mindful of that. So I'm going to, the agenda for today is, why does this matter? What we're really talking about, why does it matter? And then the modern parenting challenge. And I am happy that she said, look, simplicity is not anti-tech. We're not saying take away technology from your children. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, it's like when I went to school, we used to do maths and further maths, whatever. We used to use 4-figure table to do sine, cosine. And when I think about it, I say, those invented those things, they must have been wicked people. If you want to find sine 35,
You will follow it across, you will follow it down. Some people are making that language. But now imagine you just put the thing inside your calculator. It would even plot the graph for you. Man, these are the days. Why am I not living in this? I'm living, but why am I not living in this country? So it's not really anti-tech. And then we talk about the anchoring principles. Really, those things that will help us. Tech or no tech, some things are very, very important. And of course, we'll go to the practical habits and the tools. So why does this matter? I'm going to be just giving us a little bit of research. So children aged between 5 and 16 spend at least 6 hours a day looking at screens. So that was Specsaver. That was just off the back of COVID. And of course, these screens include televisions, their tablets, their phones or playing games. So the children in that age bracket, that's how long they were spending. Of course, that is just like the average. Some spend less, some spend more. And then when you go to the older age bracket, which is 11 to 14 years old, they spend around 9 hours on screen. Of course, part of it could be to do their homework as well, but that's just the general. If you think about it, 9 hours out of the waking hours that children should have, how much is left? How much is left? I mean, someone talked about screen addiction. It truly is there, it's real. Lecturing, I have some students who come to class and they're sleeping. And I'm asking them, why are you sleeping? When they wake up, I sleep at 2 a.m. Why do you sleep at 2 a.m.? He said, because it's playing video games. And I'm thinking, like, for real? So that kind of child, by the brain, it's not there to listen to anything. So we are raising our children in a world that never turns off. So there is overwhelm, too many devices, there's too much tech. And our goal is to simplify. Our goal is to be present. And our goal is to be intentional about how we use tech. This is called the present parent. Someone has also alluded to the fact that you are not just physically present, you should be emotionally present. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But the challenge is there. So the modern parenting challenge, I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you read it. I'm sure you are aware. So British children are leading in TikTok screen time compared to all others. I don't know why. Was TikTok invented in Britain? Okay, we just got into it and we like it. Amazing. So there's constant digital noise for kids and for parents. It's interesting because what I find is that for people who have come from a different country, you have migrated from Nigeria, from other parts of Africa, and then you come to live in the UK. One of the first things that you grapple with, like the speaker who spoke first was saying, is you first of all get confused because the system is so different, the way of life is so different. And then you are in that place, you're trying to navigate, and you've also got to guide your child to navigate. And sometimes that's where the problem begins between immigrant parents and their children. Because you find that the rate of assimilation and the rate of acculturation is not the same. We as adults, we can say, well, I go to work. I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. But guess what? Even if you are the only Black person out of 51,000 employees, you're okay. And again, like Fokwai was saying in our agency, you already have life experiences. You're not really trying to prove yourself in that sense of I'm different. And you find that most of us, our friends are still people of our color. We eat our food. We dress the way we used to dress back home. And we're comfortable with it. But guess what? Your 5-year-old or your 15-year-old that is the only Black person in the class of 30 people does not have your confidence yet. They don't want to be different. And so they will begin to speak like their friends. When you brought them last year, you could understand their English. Now you are begging them, please. I mean, it's the truth. I've been here 19 years with my children. Sometimes when my son is speaking, 20 years old, I'll say, please slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Just speak to me like you remember I'm a And I've been here all these years. I still say to you, please slow down. Let me hear what you're saying. It was too fast, it was too twisted. God bless you, that's the right word.
So can you just go back and slowly and a little bit louder? Because the challenge is there. But you find that the children quickly, they know the culture faster and better than you who want to teach them. And that is the challenge we're having with technology as well. They get there and they hit the ground running because they are born in the technology age. So we have increased digital risk. You know what is risk? Cyberbullying. Some people know it better than me, but you already are aware of some of these things. The impact social media has, emotions and the things that we talked about. So there's information overload, too many apps, like someone said, you downloaded an app yesterday, today is too late, so another one is coming in the morning. There are too many tips, too many shoots. There is digital distraction for both kids and parents. And if, as a parent, you really don't have that self-control, it's going to be difficult to try and help your child to have it. So, and again, because we're parents, so we either are on this part of feeling guilty or feeling pressure. So we're asking ourselves, how much is too much? And how little is too little? Am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? In all fairness, there is no yes or no answer to that. You will just have to look at the child in front of you. You will have to look at yourself. I know two children are the same. You know, for people saying that she's someone who is very emotional. She might have a sibling who is not emotional or not as emotional. Now you can't do life with both of them in exactly the same way. You just have to know what is too much, what is too little for this particular child. You know, that's how it's got to be. So simplicity is not at stake. We have said that. So simplicity should be about alignment and it should not be avoidance. There is no way we can avoid technology. It's just impossible. It is everywhere. I mean, someone said, even if you say, all right, I mean, when I say it is everywhere, we don't avoid it. It still does not mean that it's everywhere. There is still a way we go about talk about family values. So it still doesn't mean that because you can't avoid it, you throw all caution to the wind, and then you just do everything, you do anything. Yes, we will not give you rules. You will just be, guidelines, and then you make the rules as it works for you and your family. Because nobody can really tell you how exactly to do it. You know yourself, you know your child, you know your peculiar situations. But you have to do what is reasonable and what you believe will work in the best interest of your family. So it's not about avoidance, because even when you try and avoid it for your family, your child is exposed to somewhere else. It was like when we were growing up, and they used to tell us that if you don't tell the child the right information, many of us, we grew up without our parents giving us any kind of sex education. Now you go and hear in the schoolyard by the grapevine, you hear all kind of wrong things. And so people their lives have gone wrong because they heard wrong. So it's always good to ask the question, is this helping or is it hindering connection? And then remember that tech should be used as a tool. It should not be a distraction. You don't want the tech to control you. You want to be in control of how you use technology, both for yourself and for your children. I said I would just share 3 anchoring principles, but I have a quote here from a book that I'm still going to tell you about, and you probably will hear more about. And it says the cornerstone of digital safety. It says research consistently points to one factor that outweighs all others in protecting children online. And it is a strong, communicative, parent-child relationship. So that is one of the things that will never change. It is a cornerstone of safety in your parenting. Because once there is that connection, when there is that openness of communication, then these other things can be sorted out more easily. So I said, clarify your family values. So I have a family name. Almost every single person here has a different family name to me. So in your family, what are your values? What do you prioritize? What is important to you? And it is family by family. What might be right for your family might not be right for the next family. But you need to clarify, what do we do? In our house, we had family values. With technology, we Their values. Okay, as their values, what do we do? I remember one of my children was in maybe year 2 or year 4 of primary school, and wanted a mobile phone. I mean, I'm talking about like 16 years ago. 16? Yes, 16 years ago. And we said, no, you're only in year 4. You can't have a family and you can't have a mobile phone. The school to the house is like 4 minutes or 5 minutes walk away. If you are not in school, you're here. Okay, what's the reason first? Why do you need a mobile phone? Okay, the answer was, so I can phone you when I'm in school. No, that's not necessary. Because if anything is happening in school, the teacher can call us. You don't need to have a phone. The other one is, okay, when I'm at my friend's house, so I can phone you. Well, no, you don't need to. If you are going to your friend's house, there's an adult that is responsible for you. I'm handing you over to, your friend's mother for just a few hours that you're playing there. Okay, and then after that, well, was so and so in my class. Their younger brother, who is 6 years old, has a phone. I said, well, it's okay. Even if their dog has a phone. In our own family, we don't do that yet. We don't do that yet because there's no need for it. And it would be more of a trouble for you than a blessing. But you see, we needed to have that conversation because we can't just say, well, shut up because I said so. Again, the generation we're raising is different. You can't just say shut up because I said so. That's not acceptable. Why they will shut up because they're afraid of you? But inside they are still shouting. And when they get the opportunity to shout it out, you will let you have it. So clarify your family values because that again helps you as they grow. The conversations you have will be value-based. Because once they are saying, okay, I want to downgrade this, all right, do you remember what our family values? I always encourage families, have a family vision. Let it be written out. And if your children are old enough, let them contribute to it so that they own it. Okay, this is our family, this is what we stand, this is what we do, this is what we will not do. And that really, really helps us fight so many battles. Why this, why that? The family values helps to sort those things out. Then set rhythms, not rigid rules. So we look at some of that when we look at the practical tools. And then remember that tech is a tool, it's not the boss. But tech will be a really, really horrible boss. Because the people who designed this tech, they have designed it with an addictive tendency. They want you to keep coming for. They want you to keep coming for more. If you are on YouTube, once you have an account, as you have watched something, then you will suggest, then you will suggest, then you will suggest. Once you go online, even if you Google, you want to buy a pair of trainers, and you go and look for trainers, believe me, anytime you are online, it's bringing you trainers, bringing you, as if many trainers are even to wear in a lifetime. You don't know exactly, so it's always bringing you suggestions and all of those things. So remember that tech should be a tool. You have to be able to master it. It should not be the other way around. Okay, so we look at, the practical habits. So the first thing I would say is have device-free areas or device-free zones. I think Papa alluded to that. So dinner table bedrooms. I remember when our first child was going into secondary school, it was 2014, and went to the parents' evening for the incoming year 7. It was a school where, at that time, many people already had phones anyway, and it was a school that was a bit, where most of the students and parents were affluent. So definitely everybody was going to have a PC device. Our own children didn't have their personal laptop until much later. So at that time, it was family laptop that they were using. But one of the pieces of advice that they gave us was, don't let your children take their phones into their bedrooms. Because if they take it into the bedroom, they won't sleep. And like I was saying, they don't yet have that self-regulation. So, and there's this thing, I don't know if you've heard about FOMO, fear of missing out. They don't want to get to school in the next day and then their friends are telling them, did you not see that thing that night? So the thing is really there. So what the advisor was, let them charge the phone on the landing where you can see it. And for those years, I used to charge my phone either downstairs or the landing as well. Because I didn't want to have a good night's sleep. And believe me, I'm not the savior of the world. If anything is happening in the night, it used to happen before phones were invented. We wake up in the morning and deal with it. So it was a really helpful advice because children will sleep better. And of course, at that time, we had children really had, but some children had laptops or TVs in their room. For us as a family, we didn't have TVs in children's bed. It was our own family decision. You know, if everybody is watching TV, we're watching TV, open space. You know, and honestly, until my children went to after the A-level, in fact, my son who stayed home longer, even when he was doing his A-levels and was sleeping on different floors, his phone would be outside. You would find it there by himself. He's in his room sleeping, and he left the phone there. Of course, when they got to uni, they became their own master, which is expected. But they have also learned to self-regulate. They need to do focus work. They put their phone away. They do it by themselves. I don't do this. So it's important to have device-free zones. So times when you can really connect. Then it's also important to have consistent time limits. So let's be consistent. And these things don't even have to start with technology. So for example, children should have bedtime. So decide what time is your own children's bedtime. Is it 7:30, is it 8:30, is it 8 o'clock, is it 8:30? They need a certain number of hours for sleep. Because for children, they grow when they're sleeping. Their brain, what is it? Develops, thank you for the right word. The brain develops while they're sleeping until I think someone is 25, their brain is not fully developed. So you need them to have those kind of right amount of sleep. During the holidays, there could be exceptions. There could be special exceptions. But it's not like exception every day. It's not right. You're not helping them to live the way they should live. So be consistent with the time limits you give them. If you say you have your device for so number of hours, you play your game for so number of hours, be consistent. And then the other thing is have a clear distinction between educational use and entertainment. Children definitely should have their entertainment. Now we don't, especially in the UK, we don't have the weather where children can play football outside. Oh yeah, like some of us were privileged to do. So at those seasons when it's so cold outside, they really can't go out. They still need to have some entertainment. They should play with their friends. Some of these things are good, but let there be clear distinction. Okay, this is when you are learning on the device. This is when you're doing your homework, but this is also the time for entertainment. Let there be clear distinction. Let it not be muddled up because someone can say, I'm on my device for 4 hours and I've been reading. Are you seriously reading for 4 hours? And then immediately parents is coming, they quickly put the reading whatever. But ask them, is that what you've been reading all the time? You know, it might not be. I mean, some of us we know we were there. So, and then the thing is, lead by example. Model phone down presence. You know, it's already been said. If you are chronically, what was the expression? Yeah. Yes. If you're a chronic user of social media, at 1 a.m., that's when you are liking something. I mean, it's not right. Yes, I know that you can't say okay, because children's devices power of at 7, adult devices should power of 10. No, that's not how, because even as children are older, you should extend, you know, whatever restrictions you give them, you should give them more allowances and manage things, and you are not on the same level as them. But you have to show even a good example as a responsible adult. If every time your child is talking to you on the phone, you're on the phone, you miss every cue that you should pick up from their body language, from the expression on their face, and then you come ahead. Actually, what were you saying, Junior? I said, don't worry, forget about it. And because you've missed that moment, you don't know what you've missed. So it's really important that we model that for them. Then some other practical habits. So you have to schedule a boredom time for creativity. When we're doing the icebreaker, the partner I was speaking with was actually talking about, you know, boredom. And what he was saying was really fantastic. That because these days, if you take a device away from a child, we are saying the world is going to come to an end. They will be bored almost immediately. But you have to have things for them to do. So I remember reading about something called a boredom jar, which you can have in your house. So you put some pieces of paper there. When children say they are bored, let them come piece of paper. It can be maybe write a poem, maybe read a book, maybe do some coloring, Maybe it might be run around in the garden. It could be, whatever it is that is creative, that is fun, so that when they come and bored, you can refer them, okay, go pick an activity, something that will help them be engaged. It could be something creative. Because what you find is that many people use technology as consumers. They are not using it as people who are producing something with it. So many people go on social media, they are watching, they are liking it. Can they also produce something? But if we have boredom time, then there would be opportunities for creativity. One of the cons of the old days was that, people invented things. You find people who will take tire from the car, and that's the best toys. Some of them. And sometimes you see them build all kinds of things with all these things that we throw away. You get it? So creativity, the problem is not an evil, it could be a good thing. So sometimes you could have weekly tech server. Even it might be for a few hours, it might be for a whole day. Again, conversations are important. And maybe I apologize for talking about some of the things that we did with our own children. But I remember there was one day my husband was having a conversation with our children. They were in secondary school at that time. Even maybe preteen and a teenager or something. And he had come across a research or a documentary made by some of these experts from Silicon Valley. And what that was actually showing was that all this social media and technology they have been designed to make people addictive. And all these experts that are producing these things, they are not allowing the children to have access to it because they know what it could do. So they called the children and they watched it together and they decided that on Sundays they were not going to have their devices. It was their decision. So every Saturday night, once they plug it, they don't pick it again until Monday morning. And if, one of them, I remember sometimes one will come to say, oh, I want to wish my friend a happy birthday. And then they say, can I use your phone? Or I can say, okay, take it, wish your friend a happy birthday. But they know that, okay, that's it. And sometimes they have to say, sorry, I'm not allowed my phone on Sunday. If you send me anything on Sunday, I can't see it. That was their decision. It was Sunday that they chose. For your family, it could be okay for a few hours on Saturday or whatever. But if we have time away from it, it would help us to see that we can do without it. Those of us who grew up without it, we knew a world without it. Our children don't know, but let's try and help them to learn that tech is not being, everything about their lives. And then family connection times. So again, the pros of what we used to have, where the family will gather and tell stories. And I think for us as minority parents, it's so vital. It's so vital because your children are constantly looking at the parents that see around and they're comparing them to you. And it's not always a fair comparison because you are not this parent. So when my children used to call me African parent, I never saw it as an insult. I always saw it as a compliment because that is who I am. That's where I've come from. And that is what has given me my values. And I'm not ashamed to say it. So one day my son came and said, oh, you know what? My friends' parents, they don't even care whether they do well or not. They just give their test. And so I said, well, I'll tell you the reason why we care. We care because we're different. You already said we're African. But I might have to take you back and tell you, for someone like me, who is from Nigeria, I know what my ancestors' lives used to be. So my parents were first generation graduates. And the education that they had at that time gave them the opportunity for white collar jobs. Now they could get pensionable employment. They don't now have to work on the farm until they were old. And my father didn't need to marry 4 wives like his own father because my grandfather's pension were his children. And he needed all the wives to work on the farm and more children. So my father didn't need to do that. So because he was educated, he could have white collar jobs. And even before him, the people that fought for the independence of Nigeria was because they were educated. So education gave us economic power, it gave us political power. If we are not educated, we will not have been able to migrate and will not be here. So you need to understand that is why it is important to us, not because we just choose to be strict, but because we choose to be different. So you need to see this is who we are. So our stories are important. So let's get the children together. When they have some questions, sometimes it's an opportunity to let them know about us, about our culture, about our ways, why we are different. Because different doesn't always mean bad. And it does not always mean inferior. In our culture, there are many things that are good. There are equally many things that are bad. We must not close our eyes to those things. And when we find ourselves, there are many things that are good. There are also many things that are bad. So we need to be people who can sit and have those conversations. Those conversations are helpful. Let's play games. It could be new games, old games. Let's go for walks. Let's have talks. It's always important. And then you can have monthly app reviews. So what apps are family members using? Why do they have those apps? I think it's important. So it's having, digital rhythms and then using the right tools. So depending on where you're at and what you're hoping to achieve, you might decide to use a router level control. So that's the level at your Wi-Fi level, whether it's Sky, whether it's whatever broadband. You can have some controls at that level, and there's some tools that you can use. Then you can have screen time limits depending on the device or the gadgets that you give to these children. There's some that are for the Apple devices, your iOS system. There's some for your Android system. There's the Microsoft family safety. There are different kinds of things. There are educational tools, if that's what you're after. If you are a person of faith, there are family devotion times. So again, take advantage of the fact that now you have Bible if you're a Christian on your phone. You don't always have to carry the Bible around. You can do family devotion together, even if they are in different parts of the world. You are all doing it. You can see who's done theirs, who's not done theirs, an opportunity for you to still be connected. I mean, when some of us were growing up, in the mornings our father would be praying at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 5:30, come for family prayer. Now your children are scattered all over the world. That's the family altar that you can build with them. And then you can have things also to help with digital safety. That's what monitors, filter where they go, what they do, and whatever, all of that. And apart from the technical tools, you can have non-technical tools. So you can have visual timers. If you have a child, maybe he's not that old, you can say, okay, you have 30 minutes, you have an hour, and this is the time that they should use for it. You put a digital tool for them to say, a physical visual timer for them. And then you can use device baskets. You can use charging stations. So I've mentioned all of those things. So practical habits for then conversations. Conversations are very, very, very important. I know they might not be the things that will come firsthand to many of us. Maybe we didn't have those conversations with our parents. But again, remember, we must learn, we must unlearn, we must relearn. We've got to do things differently. So ask, what did you watch? What did you like about it? Just have a conversation. You might say that it's a meaningless conversation, but there's something you will learn from it. You will see how your child is thinking, how they are processing it. And then when children see things, they don't always have the maturity to interpret it the right way. So when you have the conversation, you can help them interpret things that they are consuming. And then again, your conversation should be value-based. So what are your values? So can you see kindness in what you're saying? Can you say the truth? And again, teach your children about digital footprints and their permanence. Someone used to say that the internet has a long memory. It doesn't go away. Even if you delete it, it doesn't forget. So there might be somebody who saved it and is going to bring it up, at the time to catch. So it's always important to let them know about these things. So leveraging tech mindfully. So what do we need to do? So again, you have that question. Is this tool helping us to connect? Or is it taking us apart from one another? Someone said the children now, they're in their room, they're in their technology. Yeah, but if you build that connection with them, that bond, one of the things that we, as migrants, complain about is the fact that when we are here, we don't have the support system that we used to have back home. Because I can imagine for many of you who are here, if you were home, you would have a driver, you would have a house help or nanny, then you would have a lesson teacher for your children. You would have, some of you would have a cook. You might have somebody who's washing your car. But here you are all of those things, and you still going to do whatever you were doing were open. Now, that is a challenge. And many times we often see the trouble. But the flip side of it is that it gives you an opportunity to bond with your children and you know your children. So what you are doing is hands-on parenting, and it's a blessing, especially in this day and age. Because if you were doing it the way that you would have lost your children without you. So it's really see the blessing in it and see the opportunity. One thing that I read when my children were little is that parenting, the days are long, but the years are few. I can tell you that 18 years flew by. 18 years, they really do fly. So please, now it is tough. In any climate, it's tough. Where we find ourselves is tough. In this generation, it's tough. In this age, it's tough. But no, the days are long, but the years are few. So teach digital discernment, not just restriction. We can't really restrict them. So how do we help them to navigate it? What are the questions they should be asking? Then use apps that reinforce your values, not ones that would stress you. So I want to encourage you. Again, connection, communication, not just about control, it's really about connection, about communicating with your child. It's flexibility and agility. You've got to be flexible, you've got to be agile in your mindset. Don't do things like they used to do them or like you've always done them. Think differently. Think differently. Then acknowledge your limitation. Because yes, we will do what we can, but we know that even when you set contact, when you do all of these things, your children can bypass it. They are clever. You know, they used to say when I was growing up that the Englishman who made pencil also made a rubber or eraser. So you think you can set the rule and put limits, they might find ways to bypass it. But at least you should celebrate the fact that you're making progress. They're not just sitting and saying, well, what will be, will be. So it's not perfection, it's progress. You're doing something different. That's important. And then use your community. I like the fact that you mentioned some aunties who will be online. When your child thinks that mommy and daddy are not cool, that cool auntie whose values you know, they will let that person have access to their Instagram. That person can see what you're doing. Not because they will come and report, but because they will be a safe voice for them when they're stepping out of line. So let's leverage our community. Also, let's ask questions. Let's come for conferences like this. Let's learn so that we can do better. If you know better and you use what you know, you do better. And small steps are very, very important. It's not just the big thing. So, and I say you can. I know my time is gone now. So again, align with your values, build simple tech habits, use tools that serve, and stay present, not perfect. There's no perfect parent, so stay present. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very generous time. And thank you again for this invitation. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Once again, a round of applause for our speaker. And she said there is no perfect parent, but what we ought to be is the exact. Just before we carry on, I would like to announce that we will be having a question and answer section. So what I would like for you to do is, if you've got a pen and paper handy, to please write down your questions, and might not be sufficient time towards the end to hold that Q&A session, so we could read them out. And then also, I would like to announce that we do have a speaker. We do have someone in our midst that I would like to acknowledge and step out. It's Pastor Neron Oladipo. Please give him a round of applause. We all know he's a very, very busy man, so we are honored to have him here with us. Next speaker, who is our final speaker, who's the convener, the mastermind behind this Northeast Parenting Conference, is none other than Oliver Fajrin. And just before she comes up, just like all the other speakers, I have a little introduction about who she is. So just bear with me Let's find out who Mrs. Olubanke Pajurin is. So please. Mrs. Olubanke Pajurin is a multifaceted individual with a diverse background. She is a trained architect and a project manager with experience in construction and advertising. She's currently working in operational delivery. Driven by her passion for parenting and sharing faith, she founded the online platforms Our Big Gist and The Present Parent. She's a woman of faith and creativity. Olubanke is a devoted wife and mother of 3 boys. Her love for God, music, books, and art is evident in her life and work. She is a published author, having written the parenting book, Help, I'm Just a Parent, in 2024. And the recent book that she's published this year is Mom, Dad, I'm Hungry. She's a lifelong learner and a contributor. Olubanke began writing at a young age, and she has volunteered as a teacher in her children's church and a chorister in her local church, RCCG Living Praise, if you don't know where she worships. Her music, including songs for the rest of our days and God Made, has a profound impact on those around her, as we can all see that is evident here. She's a dedicated mentor and advocate for families. Olubanke is passionate about nurturing young minds and supporting families in their journey. So please, I would like you to put your hands together once again. Big round of applause and welcome speaker, the convener of this parenting conference, Mrs. Olubanke Pajurin.
Can I say I'm shy? Amen. Thank you everyone for coming. I don't know what to say. I've been trying to look back since sitting here, like, I didn't people on this seat. But I want to say thank you everyone for coming. I know that we are very busy people. Taking your time to do this means that you mean business. Yes, because we don't, if you were in Nigeria, you tell me you'd have attended many conferences, marriage seminar, parenting, because the church will always organize something. But here everybody is on a busy level, we're all looking for money. And so we have to make the money, we have to enjoy the money. I want to thank all the speakers again. I don't know what to say when it comes to thanking them. I want to say thank you. When we started organizing this, I just randomly pulled people into a WhatsApp group and I told them my vision, this is what we are doing. And people practically just did. Nobody exited the group. They were like, okay, what do you want us to do? How do we go about it? And they did not just stay there on a WhatsApp group virtually. They were there physically. We were here yesterday setting up stuff. And even after that, people came and said, how can we help? I know it's going to cost some money. What can we do? How can we contribute? And people actually did that. And I'm so, can we just put a round of applause? Who has helped us? Okay, I'll just go straight to what I'm talking about before I wanted to copy Mrs. Aikman by appreciating everyone, but I think I need to go for some training. I'm not used to this. Amen. Okay. What I'm going to be talking about today is understanding your role, the mirror in the room, reclaiming our influence experience. But let me quickly tell the story. There was a day I walked into the room, my 3 sons were there. They were practically mimicking us. One was mimicking the dad, one the mom, and the little one was a child. And they were doing it so perfectly. Like, I felt like they mimicked me more than I will act myself. Like they did it more, and I just got to the room. I was thinking, these guys actually notice things more than you. You can just do things random, like random stuff, but they are picking every tiny bit. They are paying attention to every gesture, every smile, every frown, sometimes they are telling me things like, "Oh, mommy, when I tell you things, you just do like this." Like, that's not the reason why I'm doing, but actually that's the reason. But I don't want to accept that. They actually watch us. And this is one thing that I see. You are your child's first mentor. You are the mirror in the room. When they look at the mirror, they do not see themselves, they see you. So whatever your child is reflecting is possibly and practically what they see you do. Like we see God as well. We try to do what God will do. That's how they see us and do what we do. Okay. So that's my little story to let you know that your child, they are very sensitive, they see things, they know things. Don't ever assume that they don't know. They know a lot of things. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So I said children are master observers. They watch, absorb, and embody. They watch, absorb, and embody. They practically know what mommy will say to everything. Like sometimes my son will come and say, "Mommy, I want to ask you something, but don't worry, I already know what you say. I already know what you will say." I say, "Just say it." And when he says it, and that's what I'll say, because he knows this is who my mom is, this is what she's capable of, this is what she does, this is what he has done over and over and over. And that's why we have to be conscious of what we do with them, what we do. We have to be intentional about it. You can't live your life carelessly with your child. Its intentionality is very important. How you speak to people, how you relate with your siblings. Sometimes my son, we're coming from church and it's like, "Can we see my auntie?" And I'm like, "I'm tired. I just want," "But she's your family." I'm like, "I'm tired. I just want to go." But they are looking at how you relate with your sibling, how you relate with your parents, and that is the foundation for them on how they will relate with each other in future. And this is what we should pay attention to. This big word here, have you ever heard about this word before? Has anybody in the house? It's actually a new word. It was a man that wrote a book in 2010 that used this word, and they kind of adopted it from the book. And it's just the struggle of living in a hyper-connected digital world. And is anybody refraining in? It's just that fear. And I'm sure most kids talk to most parents. How do you handle this digital thing? Children, how do you handle the way they use the tab, the phones? How do you, we all think about these things. We sometimes don't know what to do because it has never happened before. Like I said, we don't have a template. We are creating the templates. My mom did not raise me when I started using phone, I started using Motorola, something like this. And I was already in the higher institution when I started using it. So it wasn't that when did I open my Facebook? I think I started with a high five. Does anybody know high five? Yeah, I started with high five. When I opened my first social media, that was high five then. And there was not really much. You just upload your profile picture and chat with some random people. There was, but even after then, I can say that high five faded away like that is how fast technology is. And it's faster than that now. I'm going to be showing you some data later, but I just want us to know that, like I said earlier, this conference is not about just phones, tablets, social media. It's about technology. Things are really evolving. The problems we will have in 5 years is not social media. A lot of things, you don't know what AI is coming to. Somebody made a joke online one day and said, there'll be a time when you'll be talking to your children that the real marriage God created was between man and woman, not between man and robots. There is a time coming like that. When will you start saying, no, you don't have to marry your robots? So things are really evolving. Cars that we're driving now in 5 years will be useless. The way the pace at which things are running now, if you're a parent and you are just saying, it's God that will train them, they will be fine. You need to wake up. Wake up from your slumber. Gone are the days when our grandparents will have children and they will say they went on well. These days, if you don't put in intentionality, if you don't put in your work, you're going to lose your child. And that's not a curse, that is reality. And that's why we have to wake up as parents. This is a new world. The world where we were raised doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. So you have to wake up, you have to open your eyes, you have to be tech savvy. I'm not saying be an expert in everything, but wake up. I know parents that will say, I don't really know how to use all those things. I don't really like it like that. You have to like it because that is where your life is now. That is where your children are. They are there. And you can't say, okay, don't give your child a phone. Don't give them the phone till like they are 25. I'm telling you, your child have access to what you don't have access to. They have computers and so even though it's restricted, their friends have got devices. There are so many things happening that you don't know. And one of the things I say to people is that your child will not tell you everything. Be their best friend to ever. They will never tell you all the details. They will filter out some, maybe because of the emotions or the way you, even if they love you so much, there are some details that they will never tell you. And that is why you have to wake up and not be afraid. Don't be afraid of the digital space. It's a space, it's a tool, like Mrs. Ayibayo said. It's a tool. It's not your boss. I know many parents are afraid of that. They just don't want to. It's scary to them. And so when you're scared of something, like you have the phobia, you stay away from it. Staying away from this space means staying away from helping your child because that is the new world. Okay. So, like I said, I was going to give you some data. Technology is growing at an exponential rate. You will agree with me that things are really moving. Computing power has doubled every 18 to 24 months in a very long time, and it's going to be more than that in few years. You know, AI capabilities are now doubling every time. We can see the likes of ChatGPT, practically ChatGPT can tell you how to live your life from morning till night. What should I eat this morning? It will suggest for you. Are you a vegetarian? What do you want to eat? Okay. What can I wear? What do you have in your wardrobe? You will combine this. Practically do everything for you. So your child does not need to come to you for advice. No, because this AI will advise them. And when I first started my monthly period, I remember that I could not tell my mom because my mom was really strict. I said was because now she is. But I just went to my dad and I said, Dad, and he called my sister and he got me a pad. And that was it. But your child does not need to come to you. And that is the fear every parent should have, losing that connection. And that's why you have to wake up. You can't just say what will be, because these things are taking our place unconsciously because we are scared of it. And that's why we have to embrace it. We have to embrace it. And you would agree with me if you can read all of those. It took 38 years to reach 50 million users with the radio. 38 years, yeah. And with the television, it took 13 years. Internet, 4 years. Facebook, 3.5 years. ChatGPT, 2 months. Something that took radio 30-something years. ChatGPT did it in 2 months. So things are really growing. So I'm not here to put fear in our hearts. I'm here to awaken us. We have to stand up, wake up from the slumber, and smell the coffee because it's hot and really nice. And really nice. Okay, so there's this myth that I'm just a parent. I've spoken to so many parents that I'll say, no matter how much you try, a child will become whatever. So many parents have this idea that there's nothing more you can do. Just do your bits. A child, if you shout, you scream, no child becomes whatever. A child becomes what you build in them, and it starts from the cradle. My mom usually tell me when I was pregnant with my first son, my mom would say, speak to your child from the womb. And to me, it was like big. It's just something I cannot hear. But she kept saying that I can hear you. She says things like, if you're not comfortable, you're making you uncomfortable. Tell the child, because the training starts from there. So if you have missed the first few years of their life, putting the foundation, then they will become whatever. But if you put all the work into it, I've seen parents that let their career to raise their children just because they want to put the work into it. And they go back to their career later. Thank God we are not in the ages where you cannot be a professor at 79. People still do their master's at 8. So you are not just a parent. You are not just a parent. You are more than that. This is a sacred assignment that God has given you. Okay. So let's see the categories of parents and their responses to this change called technology. So I want you to pick your own. Who are you in this category? Okay, we have the excited and the embracer. Are you excited about it? So those are the people that uses the baby monitor. I wonder what the Gen Zs will do when they become parents. I just love that generation. I love the fact that they are embracing the change. Okay, those are the online learners. Some people, when they are at work and they have update training on the computer, they prefer to have. Those are not the embracers. Those are the people that allows educational games, uses technology for family, and social media and blog users. So are you on? So let's go to 2. The overwhelmed and frustrated. They are left behind. They just can't catch up. It's too much. This is too much. They don't feel like Jesus should just give it from better. Let's go to heaven and forget all of these things. Yeah. They have limited tech skills, not because they cannot do it, because they want to. Okay, they have too many apps. The people are saying, oh, there's one app now. Oh, you download it, your child will not be able to watch anything forever. You download it. It's okay. There's another app. This one. Let your child open anything. It will tell you your brain to download it. But they are not embracing it. They are just gathering different information. Some of them have digital fatigue because they don't want to learn, but they want to catch up. So they are just going from one video to the other. Another video, somebody is sending them a video of a child in Nigeria that followed boyfriend somewhere. They are watching it and circulating it to all of us. Circulating it to all of us. We are like, what should I do with this information? You know? And they are negative about it. So that's the second one, the overwhelmed and the frustrated. Number 3, the concerned and cautious. They are majorly concerned about the screen time, online safety, cyberbullying. They're struggling to find a balance. I want to tell you that if you are any one of these, you are not wrong and you are not right. You just need to find a balance. Let's go to the next one. The people that adapt and they are the growth people. You see it, you say, okay, now guys, what's going on? This is what's up. You're like, okay. There are times when my sons will talk about something. I'll just smile. Next time I'm researching about it. The next time they're talking like this, I'm throwing my mind. Oh, how did you know that? Sit out there. You know, you have to adapt Don't let's be like the dinosaurs that couldn't adapt to change and fizzled out like that. We need to adapt, especially as people of ethnic minority group, we need to adapt because I know we usually have that problem with adaptation to this kind of change because it's very wide, very strange terrain for us. And we have to see the positive side of all of these things happening. I want to tell you that from my own perspective, I believe that there's so much positivity in the changes happening all over the world. There's so much. And if we sit down and continue to get scared of it, we are going to lose the best part of it. So that's why we have to sit up and do what will actually help us to raise our children. Okay, and we have the fearful. Oh my God. They're just like, what are you doing on the phone? Why are you on the phone? What are you doing there? Who are you talking to? Who are they? You don't even trust yourself. Not to talk of trusting your children. You know, you feel like technology has no good effect. You feel like the devil has brought it to destroy the world. You feel like this is where the 666 come from. You feel like this is what's going to trigger the burning air. You know, you're just scared of everything. And many parents have unknowingly stepped back. You've given your responsibility to technology, to social media, to so much information out there, and you step back because you don't want to get into it. You don't want to get, maybe because you are scared you might get addicted, or you might not know how to control it. You stepped back from your role, and you are not just a parent. You are the thermostat in the room. You are the one that should control things. And we have to wake up to know that we are there to guide them. I usually say these things. If God wanted children to just make their own decision, go about their own thing, God would have laid them down from the sky. But the reason why God has chosen you to parent that child is because you have everything that child needs to try. I know parents that will say things like, oh, maybe if I have a child like this one, I would have been okay. No, God gave you the perfect child, and that child, everything that child needs is in you. Don't ever wish for another person's child. God intentionally chose you to parent that child because you are the best thing for that child. You are the best mentor for that child. So if you're not mentoring that child right, it's not God's fault. If it takes you to learn, go and learn. If it takes you to read, go and read. Like I usually say, parenting is not a joke. It is work. It's more than our day-to-day work. It's work. You have to put in the work. That's when you see results. Prayers does not bring the result. Because I know parents, when I was young, this was what I said in the welcome speech when I was saying that I observed parents. My parents' church were the praying church. And I saw parents that will pray, and ignore the emotional needs, the physical needs, the other needs of the child. And today you look at their child, it feels like God is unfaithful, that God doesn't answer prayers. Prayers alone doesn't work. You need to wake up and roll up your sleeve. It's work time. Your child is not for decoration. Your child is not a trophy. So put on the table and say, see, we get better findings. It is hard work that makes a child. It's not prayer. I'm not trying to say prayer is good, but there should be a balance. There should be a balance. So I'm saying, what do you need to do? So remember, you set the climate. You are the parent. Your child doesn't have to like you 100%. I never used to like my mom. If my mom walks into the room where we're small, we all scatter. Somebody can go to the toilet and go and do what's not necessary. You just disappear. We don't sit with her in the same place. We don't want to stay with her. But now Every day, there's no day that will pass. That will say, thank you to my mother. There is no day. Now I love her with every bone in me. I never used to like her. I don't talk to her, to my friends about her. You know when people talk about their mom? Her friends are when they are sick, their mom will buy this. My mom will come into the room when you're sick and say, lying there will not help you. Get up, you need to take medication, drink water. She will my mom will not come there to start pampering you. She doesn't, that's her nature. She doesn't know how to do that. She will tell you, okay, this has happened. You know, some people, my sister usually says this that I'm not very empathetic as well. I look out for results. Okay, we have a problem. This has happened. I won't sit down there and say, hey, what are we going to do? Okay, this has happened. What's the solution? What's the next step? And I think I took a little bit. I'm working on it. But I never used to like her. But now I appreciate her every day. I pray for her every day. There's no day that will pass that I will say, oh God, this woman tried for me. Because she did. There are some things she did for us that most of our friends didn't have opportunity to have. And then I used to envy my friends. I used to wish that their mom was my mom. So your child doesn't have to, people that are looking for the life and love and everything of their child. Yes, there should be a balance, but they don't have to say, oh, my mom allows everything. My mom lets everything be. No. You are the one in control. You are the parents. Some parents, their children are the one in control. The children dictate what happens in the home. You are the parent. You are the parent. It is what you want. Yes, you should be flexible, like we've said earlier. It is what you want. You are there for their safety. If something is not safe for them, you don't permit it because you want them to love you. That is not love. That is hatred. If you love your child, you will make sure no matter how much they disagree with that, if it's going to hurt them, you take them away from it or take that thing away from them. That's true love. Even though they will say, mommy is not nice. That is not nice. Okay. So you have to be present. Like every speaker I've said today, it's not about you can be in the room, you can be at home for 24 hours and not be with your children for 1 minute. You can sit in the same space for hours and not be there for them. You can, I usually say this, you spend like 30 minutes on your phone or the phone with your friend, you are gisting, you're saying a lot of things. Your friend will come off the phone and they'll feel like you're a therapist. You've made them feel so good. But your child is lacking that in the house. You can't have 5 minutes conversation with them to make them feel better. But you do that with your friend, ignoring what matters most. So we need to learn that being physically in a space doesn't mean you are present. You have to be there. Talk to your children like Ms. Laida will keep emphasizing, or she kept emphasizing. Communication is key. If you don't build the relationship with them now, Papa, you agree with me. If your mom has not been talking to you, you won't be talking to her now. Because there's no connection, there's no need. You would have already built your own little niche of who you speak to, so you wouldn't really have any conversation with us. If you don't talk to your child now, don't expect them to come back from secondary school and come and sit with you in the room and start talking about their friend. They're not like, so what's the name of that your friend? And so what do you see? Where is their parents? Where do they live? Because you don't talk to them, they're like, no, they are fine. They're just like, because there's no communication, there's no connection, no communication, nothing. And now you want to take control. It's a very dangerous place as parents. So be open-minded. Some of us, we just shut our mind. So if your child is coming home and saying, "Mommy, this is what's happening now," you're like, all these things, you people, that's not what the real thing is what we did. No, their own thing is the real thing now. What you did doesn't exist anymore, doesn't work anymore. Their own thing is the real deal now. And so be open-minded when you're sharing things with you. Don't always be judgmental or to dismiss it or say, All those things, they're not really good. Emotionally, they will wreck you. No, no, no. Let them talk. See the positivity in whatever they are trying to bring to you. Am I still on time? Okay. So in a world competing for your child's attention, your presence is their anchor. Number one thing, be present. Talk to your children. Have conversations with them. Sometimes I'm like, guys, let's take a walk. I'm tired. Let's take a walk. We are walking. I'm like, so the kick is so start conversation from there. Was it painful? Have you done anything painful? Is it? We just start a conversation from random things. Take a walk with them. People think that you have to have money to achieve all of this. Okay, so that you now take them to a very expensive holiday or a park. No, take a walk with your child. If being in the house is overwhelming and stressful, get out of the house. Go to a park, sit down there, just have random conversations. Learn to have conversations with your child. Just start something. They might not necessarily want to start a conversation, but just start. Not every time you call them and be questioning them. Just random. It doesn't have to be anything official. Talk about the government. Talk about the weather. It doesn't have to always be about their behavior. Why did you do that yesterday? You know, it can be about trainers. Look at their channel. They like this trainer. So what's the new one in town? Which one do you really like? And they're like, Mommy, let me show you the picture. Let me show you the picture. They're showing you. And like, ah, it's expensive. But Mommy, we can, okay, let's go look for sale. See if we can buy it. You know, it doesn't have to be something serious. Some of us only have serious conversations, and so it's become like structured. Children are not free. You are not free. It's just mommy, straight answer, straight response. Just it doesn't have to be something serious. Let's learn to connect with our children, and this is our role as a parent. Chat about internet safety. One of the things I really appreciate about UK's is that they do this a lot. Your child would have brought in loads of letters teaching them about internet safety, cyberbullying, and all of these things. Don't let it end in school. When I see, there was this documentary I watched, there's this hospital nearly that I think is about 3 years now that they just opened in London for digital addictions that I saw. So I watched a documentary, I think it's on Prime or Netflix, I'm not sure. It was about how kids got addicted to games and it became a really big deal, mental illness. And we sit down and say, guys, what do you think he could have done? What do you think his parent could have done? How do you think they could have handled this? You know that he wouldn't want to be this. It's just gradually. Talk to them about internet safety. Talk to them about, I don't know, Ayukayo said, I was thinking when I was sitting there that she has said almost this. Make sure that you are always talking about these things. It should not be a one-off thing. Every time you get an opportunity, talk to them about it. Daddy, my son, okay, I was seeing him chatting one of his friends, and I saw the chat. Do you know that I prefer you to have proper conversation and chat? Because this is evidence. If anything happens tomorrow, this is evidence. Let them know that the internet doesn't forget. Whatever you drop there, somebody can bring it up when you become the prime minister. And that can disqualify all the hard work of your life. So we need to have this chat with them all the time. Like I said, it doesn't have to be serious. Talk about it all the time, every time. Become a mentor. Everyone has said it here. Your habits speak louder than your lectures. Some of us can talk like 5 hours. So our children, they're like, just finish, let me go. They're not even listening to you. Be their mentor. You want your child to lay their bed when you wake up. Lay your bed when you wake up. You want your child to keep the house tidy, no matter how much they untidy the house. Keep tidying it. That is how people learn. That is how most of us learned from our parents, how to do things. Parents now, we don't want to put in the work. We think it's hard work. If they are scattering it, you want to leave it. They will still scatter. Yes, we scattered it. Our parents keep putting it together. We do it again, they do it again. That's how we learned how to make things better. So They mirror the way you resolve everything, conflicts, like I said earlier, emotion, rest, the use of phone, and many more. Your child is watching, make sure you're doing the right thing. They are building themselves with your example, with the people you expose them. Those are their mentors, and those are the people they are following. One day, they will parent their own kid, and part of your voice, you want your discipline, your laughter will echo in the future. So you are not raising a child, you are raising a generation. Imagine if your parents didn't raise you well, you will not raise your child well. Your child will not raise their child well. And that's why you need to know that this is a ripple effect, like Mrs. Aida said. What you do matters to generations to come. And that's why some of our grandparents, if that thing in heaven, they will sit and say, yes, I did a good work. Because they pass the value from generation to generation. And that's what we have to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So what we'll be doing now is having a quick 5-minute break. And then when we reconvene, we will have a guest appearance. And just as I mentioned before, in regards to the Q&A session, if you do have a pen and paper and wish to write your question down, if you don't want to stand up and ask the question, feel free to pass it to the ushers, and when we reconvene, we will be asking those questions. So please, just for a quick 5-minute break, we have some refreshments to our side. Step outside. We're almost done. We're almost concluded with the parent conference. Obviously, we would like for it to carry on for as long as it would. However, I do appreciate that we all have other things to do. So the next 5 minutes, please feel free. We've got hot drinks, we've got some cold drinks. Yeah, mingle, ask questions, meet new people if you don't know yourselves. And see you in the next 5 minutes. Thank you. And for those that are currently online, thank you for staying with us. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes. Thank you.
2 minutes till the end of our break. 2 minutes. Can we please take a seat? We're almost rounding up. Thanks very much for your patience. We can see the refreshments are going down the street. Please take your seats. You want to wrap up the session as soon as possible. Please take your seats. House, please take your seats. You want to finish round up for the next 5 to 10 minutes? You want to be done? Please take your seats. minutes. That's only possible if you all take your seats. Please be seated. Seated, we want to round up as soon as possible. We can still have some refreshments after the session's over, but please, we want to round up as soon as possible. Take your seats. Remember, if you've got any questions and want to write them down and don't want to stand up, you can hand them over to an usher. We'll be rounding up the session in the next few minutes. Please take your seat. There's not much left on the agenda for today. Right, we're ready to start. Okay, well, here we are. Just at the end of the session, I would like to bring back on board Mrs. Olubanke Bajirin, who will be welcoming the guest appearance for today. So please pay attention. In the next few minutes, we will be rounding up this session.
Sorry, quick one. Apologies. We're supposed to end 12 minutes, but we did not start on time. People didn't come in here until like 45 minutes, 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes after. That's why I'm a person that loves to stick with time. But please just pardon us. I'm going to be bringing up someone. She's just going to speak to us for 5 minutes. Name. She's a prominent expert in the field of mental health, trauma-informed care and parenting education in Africa. She's a researcher as well. She earned a doctorate of optometry and health science degree in Nigeria and a master's degree in clinical psychology from Newcastle University. I'm just trying to read through this profile. She's a doctor, a psychologist, a trainer, and a researcher. Actually, like I said earlier, I met her online. She just wrote a book that resonates with what we're talking about. Like I said earlier, I'm not here to sell you books. But I just wanted to talk to us for 5 minutes. Then after that, we have only one question. Look at that question and we round up. Okay, so I'm going to call on Dr. Vivian Okoye. Maybe next year we have a winner.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me 5 minutes to talk about parenting because, like, I live, eat, breathe parenting. And what you've done here today, what you have done, gathering parents and equipping them. I think that's being a parent is like the most important job that we have as a person, right? And when people say, is it that deep? That's because we don't understand. Like when we do all of these things, I started doing parenting conferences in Nigeria in 2007. And at the time, I was a young parent, and I was trying to invite someone to come and speak at my conference. And she was like, how old are you? How old is your kid? What do you know that you're gathering with you? Right? So, and that was when I started teaching conscious parenting, and people would bash me. Like I was in Nigeria teaching Nigerian parents not to hit their kids because it's not an effective approach. So people bashed, but then seeing how far we have come and people realizing the impact of these things on our children's well-being, that there is a better way to actually achieve an effective result. And it's really amazing, and what you're doing is really amazing. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And if you're here as a parent, you should be proud of yourself. You've been at home sleeping, and for you to make out this time just shows how dedicated and committed you are towards this assignment that God has given you. And for these 5 minutes, I just really want to say a few words and then, share about my book. And yeah, we're not here to sell you books, we're just here to help you to support you. People, every speaker that has come here, you know that when God is in something, you see that the Spirit is one. Every speaker that has come here has said one thing or the other that has equipped us, and we have a lot of information to go away with now. There are 3 things I will share. Is number 1, we are Nigerians. I believe almost everybody here is Nigerian, and we're people of faith. But I want us to know that God forbid, it's not my portion, it's actually not a parenting strategy. So you can shout God forbid all you want, and shout it's not my portion all you want. There are real risks out there. There are devices of the devil, and the Bible says do not be ignorant of those devices. So no matter how much we say it's not our passion, that's just like she said, you can pray all you want, but if you don't do the work, and if you don't have the knowledge, and if you don't impute the strategies necessary, then what will happen will still happen, right? And parenting is just like marketing. Do we have any marketers in the house? I mean, we're selling something one way or the other. So the way you package your product and sell it to your ideal customers, consider your children as your ideal customers for the values that you want to sell. So everything that has been said here today, picked up one thing or the other, package them based on your family values. How do you want to communicate it based on the child and the personality and the temperament of the child in front of you? Sell it to them. The moment you're able to successfully pass that information to them and they buy it, they will live it and they will advocate of it. And the Bible says, raise up a child in the way that they should go. It didn't say, and they will not depart from it. It says, and when they are old. So sometimes it can seem like what you're doing is not working, but when they are old, have that in mind that your words, your actions, and the seeds you're sowing are not in vain, even if you're not seeing the results instantly, right? So about the book, sorry, I just wanted to put those out there. So about this book, in February, 31st December, 31st January 2025, yes, this is 2025, I got a call because I'm a therapist, so people give people my number to contact me. I got a call from a woman who was crying, she was overwhelmed. She has a teenage daughter, 13 years old, who was becoming aggressively or increasingly defiant, towards her, almost like always wanting to fight her. And it was unusual because this was not the child that she knew. So she had called me to help her walk through that challenging behavior and let her know, what to do with the daughter. And I speak to her, she was sobbing and all of that. I tried to calm her down. And a few minutes into the call, I was, actually, is your daughter there? She said, yes. I said, okay, let me speak to her. And I get the phone and I start speaking to the girl. And 30 minutes into that conversation, my heart sunk. Why did my heart sink? I realized that the child had been groomed and all of the behaviors that she was presenting were not actually facts. She has actually been groomed like a predator. And what will happen took every psychological skill in me because I wasn't present. This was over the phone, they were in Nigeria. and 9 hours over the phone with child, with mother, and chatting with the predator eventually before we got a confession. And I'm speaking to you not about a 13-year-old who is dumb. This girl, the last month or last 2 months, when they write SAT, actually wrote SAT at 13 and scored 1,560 over 1,600. So she's smart. So I'm not speaking to you about a child who is smart. And I say that to say you might be listening and thinking that cannot happen to my child. My child cannot be groomed because they are smart. Your child can be book smart, but are they street smart? And being street smart, there is another level. Are they digitally street smart? Because there are real risks on the digital space. And we cannot deny that our children are engaging in the digital space. And when I shared that story online, some people said, well, that's in Nigeria. When we intervened, the predator was like, I beg, people should leave me alone, I'm just doing my job. And please go and tell that child to leave that WhatsApp group because that's where we recruit our people from. And this group, as at the time we investigated, had over 100 and something secondary school children in there who do not have an idea of people who are in there looking at their vulnerabilities and looking to target them. So when I share that, people say, oh, well, it's in Nigeria. That will not happen in the UK. But I lead a children's service in the Northeast, and I assess kids and we work with kids. Has anybody heard of county lines? Yeah, county lines is a gang ring, and they target children, and most of the times they find them on the gaming apps, right? So I can stand here and go on and on about the risks online, but this is not about instilling fear in you. This is about raising awareness about what happens out there. Our children engage with the digital world becomes it has become a necessity. In fact, it has its positives, but are you aware of the risks? And are you communicating the risks? And are you equipping your children? So it was after that experience and many other experiences that I was inspired to write this. This is a 200-page book. And to tell you that it wasn't me that wrote it, I wrote it in 3 days. And even till tomorrow, when I read it, some things are new to me because I'm like, when did I write that? So I tell people that it was inspired, right? I didn't write it on my own, and everyone who has read it can testify to that. What's in this book, it opens your eyes to the risks, right? And not just does it do that. This is not a book about telling you to restrict your children. No, it's more of a book about equipping you to empower your children so that they engage in the digital space in a safe, responsible way, which is what we want. Equipping your children with the critical thinking skills. What do they do? What do they have to consider before they put anything online? Right. What are the conversations that you need to have with your children constantly so that they can become very aware of the risk out there? I was speaking to a group of teenagers yesterday, and I was sharing with them how predators operate, right? How they contact you, their modus operandi, and most of them were not aware. They were like, we thought they're like bad people. I was like, they're the sweetest people on earth because they will inflate your ego. They'll make you feel like you're the next person after sliced bread. They will become your friends. So these are conversations we need to have with our children. As a family, how do we set values that ensure that our children are safe? I have a contract with my kids when it comes to their use of media. Everybody contributed to that contract. We signed it, we sealed it, and we agreed on it, and we agreed on what the consequences are. How do you decide for your family's media contract? What is in the contract? What are the conversation templates for the different age groups? What are the settings for your different devices? Your Netflix, your YouTube, are you using the right one for your kid? Are the setting right for the age of your kids? The Discord app, all of the apps, Instagram, TikTok, Are the settings right? Do your children know how to navigate? Right? Because we're in the real world. Before you send your child to the shop, how much caution do you take before you send your child to the corner shop near your house? That's even if you would agree to send them. But we hand our child to a whole digital world without taking the real precaution. But that digital world have people on that space with different agendas, and some of them are actually on that space to target young children and exploit them. Are your children aware? On a scale of 0 to 10, how equipped are your children to be on that space? That's a question you want to reflect on. The children have access to, and don't say they don't have a personal device yet. That their friends do, and they have conversations in school about what their friends are watching and listening. So if they're also watching TV, is a digital device. Are they watching the right things? Are you checking the age rating, language, and all of that? So we are in a digital world, and people have different agendas. The children use Roblox, right? Let me not unpack that here, but that is the worst app that a young child should be on. There's a lot currently going on the Roblox app that if I even begin to share, you'll be worried. So are you aware of the things that are happening in the apps that your children, are using? This shows you how to do a digital app assessment. Look at the apps that your children are on, and what to look out for, what to check, and how to set. So yeah, in summary, that's what this book is about. And I would summarize by saying that one of the greatest parenting tools that you can ever have, I know that we have many different parenting tools and all of that, but one of the greatest parenting tools that you can ever have is that parent-child communication and connection. So that's the foundation. And then as we progress, build the skills, be aware of what is going on in the digital space, equip your children and empower them so that they can navigate. They will not be left behind and they do not expose themselves to the risks that are out there. So thank you.
We need another round of applause. Come on, guys. It's 5 minutes. It's just, we need it to be longer than 5 minutes. Thank you so much, Dr. Vivian. We want to hear more from you. So, Mrs. Olivanka Fajarin, we need a part 2, part 3, part 4. This needs to be continuous. We are very appreciative. Thank you so, so much. We've come up to the end of the first ever Northeast Parenting Conference. And I know that we all have a lot of things to do, time is limited. However, please do apportion 5 minutes for quick question and answer. I've got a few questions here just before you all go. And I will quickly read them out and we'll get the answers given on to us. And then we'll have a closing prayer. And hopefully we will reschedule on our calendars part 2 as soon as possible. So, Dr. Vivian, please, if you don't mind, we'll read out the questions if you can please answer them for us. Is that all right? Okay. So, should I read the shortest question first? Anyone? Right. Should I read first? The longest one, okay. So it says, if you like to do things very well, for example, straight A students going into parenting and knowing it can never be perfect because you're human, how can you be encouraged to still press on?
All right. One of the humbling things that parenting teach you is that there's something called perfection, right? That's one of the skills that parenting will teach you. And I think perfection, if we dive deep into it, is actually a trauma response. Because if you grew up in a healthy environment where you are allowed to express yourself and be yourself, you understand that there is really nothing like perfection, but embrace progress over trying to be perfect. So I'll say give yourself grace, right? Which is something that every one of us should embrace in our journey of parenting. We can never be perfect. Even that I'm talking to you, I mess up every day and I tell people like my children will be children. Because I used to speak about parenting, I go for family events and they expect my children to be perfect because I speak about parenting. And I had to warn every family member not to put that pressure on children and allow them to make mistakes like other children. So if you're going into parenting, give yourself grace, prepare as much as you can and take it one day at a time. There's no two parenting journey that is the same. Your family dynamics, what's available to you, your finances, your history, that is the parenting that you yourself received, all come into play into who you are as a parent. So give yourself grace, learn on the job, learn as you go, pay attention to the child in front of you, tweak and adapt, and hold on to God. That's what I think.
So, thank you very much. On to the next question. It says, how can you be encouraged to give your best when they can grow up and not appreciate it? We see bad more than good. I know it's all for God, but what about the physical encouragement here on earth?
All right, so when it comes to parenting, I say that the metrics for measuring success in parenting is not how good your children are to you, what they do, how they obey you. It is about how much you have confidence in the fact that you have, to a large extent, aligned them to who God wants them to be and to their purpose by the time you're in your house. So it's not about you. It is about understanding. See, if you go through the scriptures, every time God announced the birth of the person, there is a template. It is a child is going to be born. This is who that child is. This is how to raise this child for the purpose for which they are going to be born. So our journey in parenting is understanding who is this child in front of me? What has God sent them here to do? And how do I ensure that I am constantly equipping them to fulfill that purpose here? So that's why you have to pay attention to who your child is, to their temperament, to their personality, to their talents, to their skills, because all of that come into play to tell you what God has put in them for the work that He wants them to do here on earth. And your journey is to nurture those. And then leave it to God for your reward, for what comes out of it. If you're aligned and if you're doing the job that you ought to for God, your reward will surely come. It could come through your children, it could come through God, but I want you to know that don't do it because I want my children to like me. I want them to always tell me how good I am as a parent. Do it because you want to align them to become who God has created them to become.
The next question. Between the old ways that we largely trust, believe, hold, and cherish, and the new unknown, appearing, glooming world, how do we truly balance?
And to that, I would say there is no history without the present, and there is no future without the history. And while we may not agree with everything that our parents did, there are wisdoms that we can draw from either their strengths or their weaknesses, right? There is a lesson that we can draw from how they did things or how they did not do things. Everything that you have experienced by how you were raised, what you encountered, your interaction with people has shaped who you are today. So if you're a reflective person and you're looking back, there are lessons to pick and there are things to drop. And again, with the modern parenting, it's also not everything that is effective. So there are lessons to pick and there are lessons to drop. There are things to shut your ears to, there are things to open your ears to. And if we are doing parenting based on what I have said in the previous question, based on your understanding of what parenting is actually, and based on your understanding of what success in parenting means, then you know what to pick and what not to pick. You're not doing it for the pop culture, you're not doing it for the likes and the hype, you're doing it for God and for the purpose. And it will look like different things for different people. So even with technology, right? There are children that when you don't expose them to technology on time, it becomes a disservice based on their purpose. Because if you understand that there is something in your child's future that is saying this child is going to be the tech world or a tech giant, then their use of technology will look different from another child who doesn't have that. So it's really about understanding the child in front of you, what you need to open them up to, and how you need to show up and interact with them. And that's how I approach parenting. There is no one size fits all for parenting. There are foundational principles, but it's about the child in front of you.
Thank you very much. Just two more questions and then we'll be on. It says, which is better, emotionally available or physically available? Should it be one over the other, or could there be a balance? And if there's a balance, what is the balance?
I wouldn't say there is one to choose over the other. Your children need to be physically present, but when they need that, they need you to be emotionally available because that is also an important need. Again, it still comes down to the personality. There is a child who, it might be that emotional validation that they need more than the physical presence. When parents come to me for a training, one of the things we do is to understand your child's personality because that is very important. Because then that begins to shape your understanding of what that child needs and how best to show up for them. We also do something, an assessment that we call understanding your child's love language. Because you might think that you love your child, but they're not perceiving it as love. So a child whose love language is hug, attention, words of affirmation, and you're buying them gifts, you can buy all the gifts that you want, but they will not interpret it as love. So, yeah, if you're physically present, be there as much as you can, but you also need to emotionally be present and validate your child as much as you're able to do that.
Thank you. And to round up the Q&A, this is the final question for the House. It says, it affects both kids and adults. Is there really a difference between how social media affects children and adults?
So, I would say yes, if I'm speaking from a brain development perspective, even though many adults we would question if their brains are really developed based on their own experiences and their childhood traumas, which has the capacity to reshape your brain. But yeah, the effects can be different in the sense that as an adult, you're expected to have more regulation. You're expected to have a fully developed brain to know what's right, what is wrong, to know when to talk and when not to talk, to know when to step back and when to disengage. But for children, they're very, very impulsive because they haven't developed that ability for critical thinking. So they might just think everything they see on social media without filters. They might think it's true. And then this is where your inputs come in as a parent because you want to keep tilting whatever it is that they're soaking in. What conversations are you having on your dinner table? I say we have dinner tables, but are we making use of it? The dinner table is actually for conversations with your kids, right? Check in, what have they soaked in the day, and try as much as possible to neutralize as many as you can. Because they're soaking in things, they're seeing things on TikTok that influencers are telling them and they're thinking that that's reality and that's truth. So your voice of reasoning should always come in to then
balance that out. And as an adult, if you also check in with yourself, you should always pause and check in. You know, think about what you're thinking. Think about how you're responding to things. Is that really me? Or am I being influenced by the things I'm seeing and hearing? Right? So if you take in a lot of things, you can find out that it starts filtering into your thoughts, into your words, into your decision making. So really, really think about how we're thinking and what we're responding, and then also filter out what you're. I know that we may not have control over what we see on our feed, but try as much as possible to filter it out. Like if it doesn't align with your values, just block. There are things that trend, and I don't see them till like 1 month after, because I'm very intentional with my feed. I don't want anything flying at me, because then I understand that when you soak in those things, it can really impact.
Wow, thank you so much. Very helpful. Thank you. So today's conversation has been about technology, and I'm pretty sure you all want to stay connected to Dr. Vivian. So please, before you take your seat, how can we here present stay connected to you?
All right, I'll say there are many ways to connect with me, but I'll say if you're on Instagram, connect with me because I'm about to start something on Instagram. I'm about to start a daily pod on actually parenting in the digital age. So if you will, Instagram Dr. Vivian dot Okoye is Dr. Vivian with a double N dot Okoye on Instagram. And yeah, I want to see you all there.
That's her Instagram handle, so please do follow, like everything that she has to share. And yes, we look forward to seeing you the next round. Thank you so much. Please welcome back to the podium, Mrs. Olivanke Ajere to
Quick one, thank you everyone for coming. I do appreciate it. I don't want to say many words because we've already jumped on our beyond the budgeted time. Can I just, Dr. Vivian, sorry, I'll just, can I just ask us to rise up as we just close this program? Thank you.
All right, Father Lord, we thank you. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the grace. We thank you for provision. We thank you for the wisdom that has been shared in this room today. Father, we ask that it doesn't just end here, that we go home with this information and that we use them, and that when we use them, that by your grace, that it would help us to raise our children, that our children would become who you want them to become, that they will grow and become who you have created them to become. We pray that the seed that has been sown here, that it will be fruitful, that it will not be seed that will die off, that it will not be seed that distraction will cut off, that it will be deeply rooted and it will bear fruit in our lives. Father, we thank you for the convener. Father, we pray that you replenish her, that you bless her, that you reward her bountifully. Amen. And those of us who have come here, Father, we pray that you also bless us, that you guide us, that for the children that you have brought into this world, that you give us the grace, wisdom, and the knowledge to continue to nurture them, to protect them. Amen. And as we depart, Father, we pray that you be with us, guide us, and lead us safely back to a different destination. That at the end of the day, that we will look back and we will not have any shame, and we will not have any regret, that great things will be spoken about our children. Amen. All to the glory of your name. Father, we pray that our children, that our parenting will never be the reason why our children will struggle in the future. We pray that you will continue to be with us, continue to lead us, continue to guide us, that at the end all glory, honor, and adoration will be unto your name in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, everyone.